Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Twisted Tragedies, where we follow all the twists and turns wherever they lead. I am your host, Elise. Welcome to our Sunday show. I know I'm a hot mess this morning, but it's Sunday, so I don't care. And neither should any of you, okay? It's Sunday, all right? I don't have to care what my hair looks like because it's Sunday fun day, y'all. I could just, put it up like this and, my husband would still love me, so there's that. So I have a couple topics. We are right in the stretch of the Donna Adelson case, okay? That one is coming up fast. And for those of you that don't know anything about it, I figured we'd go a little bit into it so that you basically have at least the basics, because it is a very interesting case and it involves multiple family members. It gives you that Murdoch vibe, right? A little bit of the Murdoch vibe. Also, why is John Barron so important, everyone? Why? Does anybody know why? Why? Why is the John Barron account on X so important? I mean, I wish I could tell you. What I do know is it has caused a lot of ridiculousness on X, also known as Twitter. Okay, also known as Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix my bubbles here. Boop, bubbles. Ticker. Okay, perfect. Hey, Holly. So, yeah, all right. Most people know who Donna Adelson is, of course. She sort of helped in this conspiracy to kill her daughter, Wendy Adelson's ex-husband, Dan Markle. He was a law professor, funny enough. But yes, X is toxic. And I tell you guys this all the time. It is a cesspool. If you have one just to maybe read the news or catch up on stuff in cases, I suggest you stay with that because there's a whole explosive, nonsensical conspiracy theory going on over there. Not that there aren't always conspiracy theories going on over on X, but right now the conspiracy theory is, who is John Barron? Well, I can tell you who it isn't, and I can also tell you who's been accused of it in the last 3 weeks alone, and it's numerous people, including free Karen and non-free Karen Read people, including Julie here. Karen from True Crime Wine. Apparently they are also ridiculous other sock accounts, which is so funny because it just doesn't exist. They've never had sock accounts. When you in your brain are so insane that you justify going after a group of people for a straight year because you think in your head that they're behind every sock account that you argue with, then it's time to get some meds or get your meds corrected, because if that's the way you justify your insane behavior, and then if you're going to be a hypocrite, right? At least don't be a hypocrite in a way where you literally just did the same thing 5 minutes ago that you're going to complain about. I mean, it's not a good look, right? So if you're going to complain about sock accounts and them arguing with you or saying things about you, and you accuse the same group of people for a year who have been ignoring you of those accounts of which they are not. And then you immediately complain that people are doing the exact same thing and saying things to you, then you're a damn hypocrite and you sound ridiculous. For a year, you have been harassing people who are not sock accounts because in your head you need to believe that it is them to justify your crazy lunatic behavior. Let's make a couple things clear here. The John Barron account is not me, Julie, Karen from True Crime and Wine, okay? It is not Kara. It is not Jen Altman. It's just absurd to me that we even have to do this, right? Oh, yes, thank you, Jesse. It's Sunday. This is where listen, before we get into the Adelson stuff, there is some X stuff I'm going to address, Jimbo. There is some stuff. So I think it's important sometimes, and I don't usually, feed into the bullshit, the drama. It really just is purposeless, honestly. But we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff. I mean, listen, it's Jimbo, it's no secret. I'm not a fan of Morrissey either. I'm not, I never have been. But Morrissey and people like Hank Brennan are not one and the same. Hank Brennan was a special prosecutor on the case. He did the best job that he could do and that I think anybody could have done when it comes to that case, in my opinion. And of course, again, that's my opinion. You don't have to agree with my opinion, but that's my opinion. And I'm not a fan of Michael Morrissey. I've never been shy about saying that I'm not a fan of Michael Morrissey, and I never will be. And there are various personal reasons that I have for that being the case, that I've gone over a million times with you guys before. But Morrissey had his office, and a lot of the stuff you guys didn't see sort of behind the scenes when it came to this case was a lot of the issue with Morrissey here. Yeah, he does need to retire. I agree with you, Jesse. Is that his office, like him as in the person that runs the DA's office, did not do everything that they could do to protect people in this case. They did not do everything they could do to protect the witnesses. They surely did not do everything they could do to protect Lindsay. And they made not just giant fuck ups, but they also flat out refused to do certain things because they were so worried about optics. Now, I don't know when anyone has ever ran a DA's office based on optics. If someone commits a crime, they are charged for that crime. That doesn't then depend on how much money they make, whether they're a public figure or not, and what kind of ruckus it might cause, or the optics of all of it. A crime is a crime. You get charged. That's kind of how it works, right? Not in the case of Mike Morrissey. And I think that is where a lot of the frustration lies with that. Is that he did not do everything he could do. There was a lot of things that office could have done to continue to. Once you're a witness, you don't just magically stop becoming a witness. If people go after you for being a witness, or the sole reason that they're, harassing you, cyberstalking you, attacking you is because you were a witness in this case, or in any case, they're still their job to protect you. You are still forever going to be a witness. Okay, that's how it works. I think it's very important to have our witnesses, and this goes for anyone. So, for instance, say someone on the Free Karen Read side, and let's just be fair here, okay? Say someone on the Free Karen Read side was being harassed into oblivion, accused of, all sorts of shit they didn't do, accused of accounts that they weren't, and someone kept harassing them, blackmailing them, cyber stalking them, all sorts of criminal acts, right? Criminal acts. Say someone from the, Free Karen Read side was the person who was then getting all those attacks. The person doing the attacks, I don't give a shit if they're anti-Free Karen Read or Free Karen Read themselves or somewhere in the fucking middle. That person needs to be held to the same standard as everyone else, right? That's how the legal system works. Is if someone on the Free Karen Read side does it and someone on the anti-Free Karen Read side does it, it's the same standard, okay? You can't, as Mike Morrissey, say, well, I don't want to arrest somebody for a crime because it might cause a melee with the Free Karen Read people. That's not the way it works. You can't have your prosecutors telling people that, hey, we know there's been a lot of crimes and we've, arrested someone for a couple of them, we charge them with a couple of them, but unless they come to your house and punch you in the face, we're not going to arrest them for any more. That is not the way to run your DA office. Somebody should not have to come to your house and punch you in the face for the law to respond. A crime is a crime, whether it's a violent crime or not. That is not okay. It's the bottom line, okay? I mean, it's definitely time for him to retire. I mean, I don't believe in lifelong, and again, we don't do politics on this channel, but I don't believe in lifetime politicians. It wasn't ever how the system was meant to be ever. And I don't think that should apply on either side. You know what I mean? Well, okay. This is what I can say about this. And I tell you guys this all the time. I don't like talking about other creators, okay? I don't like it. But when it rises to a level that is harmful, I feel like I should at least say something. Okay. There are a lot of things that Grant is semi-right about. And there are a lot of things he's just downright wrong about. And the conspiracies that he pushes need to really stop at this point. His meltdown was not warranted. Clearly, what it looks like to me is that, and again, I haven't spoken with Lindsay since the court date happened the other day. But I, at least what it looks like is that Kate reached out and said, hey, I live up the street. Do you want me to come by? And a lot of people know I'm not friends with Kate. Me and Kate are not friends. But I will say what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And this applies to everybody, even Jen Altman, right? You guys know that me and Jen Altman are not the hugest fans of one another. But if Jen Altman's not the John Barron account, I'm not just going to sit there and be like, yo, that's definitely her just because I don't like her. That's not, right is right and wrong is wrong, right? And it looks like Kate reached out to Lindsay and said, hey, like I live up this, she lives right there. So, I mean, I would have too been like, hey, I mean, I don't have a car. That's the difference, right? So I can't just, run to the courts, unfortunately, when I want to just be moral support for someone. And also I have littles at home and sick people I help take care of. So it's not as easy for me to do that. But if someone else can, then all the more power to them, because nobody should walk that road alone. I don't give a shit who it is. Okay, no one. But it looks like Kate reached out and said, hey, do you want me to come up to the court? Because she lives right up the street. And Lindsay said, sure. Obviously you don't have to if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. And so reporting that she just showed up, I mean, that's not correct reporting. Also, when you're reporting things, and I'm very careful of this nowadays, you don't just say shit. You have to confirm things. You have to. You're hurting people. And with these conspiracies that he keeps pushing out, in my opinion, he's not only hurting Lindsay, okay, but he's hurting the witnesses. He's hurting innocent other people. And if you question him, you get a lot of gaslighting, which is, are you part of it? You're in on it. I mean, everyone's in on it if you question the behavior. And I think that's a huge problem. Here's the thing. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I will always forever stand by what's right is wrong and wrong is wrong. I will never stand by some of the disgusting things people have done. Hey, my friends, to Lindsay, ever. Okay. Lindsay is my friend and she has been through the ringer. All right. And she has not gotten as much support as some of the witnesses have gotten. And that's not for lack of, any of us trying. That's the DA's office and their inept fucking problem of being able to do their goddamn job. Okay. But I will never stand behind somebody trashing Lindsay or perpetuating lies about her. She is my friend and I will always have her back. And she knows that. She knows that 110%. And I think it doesn't help her to constantly talk about her 24/7, right? She's trying to live her life, right? She's got kids to take care of. She's just trying to live her own life alone without people harassing her. And that can't be done if it's talked about 24/7. I think there's a way to do things and there's a way to not do things. And some of this stuff is just a way not to do things. All right. Thank you. Exactly, Julie. When you're told, like, basically, unless someone comes to your house and punches you in the face, that they're not going to be arrested, that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. That is not the way our law system works, right? Yes. Yes. Both my very good friends here, Benny and Julie, who I both adore. Well, easier said than done, Jimbo. Easier said than done, right? Easier friggin' said than done. Lindsay is a caregiver of 4 children, a single caregiver of 4 children. She can't just up and move away. And even if she did up and move away, are people going to magically stop talking about it because she moved away? I don't think so. I don't think that's, if she maybe moved to a different district that took her more seriously, I think that might help. But again, you have to have the resources to do that. You can't just up and leave. It's thousands of, listen, my rent's over $2,000 a month. All right. I don't have $2,000, never mind $6,000 sitting in a bank account ready for me to move if I want to. When you have kids, especially sick relatives or sick kids, that kind of money doesn't just sit in a bank account waiting for you to want to be able to move. It's definitely way easier said than done. Now, if you have the resources to just up and move, cool, great. But I just don't think that's, to be fair, another good friend of mine, Leah. People are still trying to drag Leah into this. Leah moved. She lives states and states and states away. And what good does that do? Right? They're still harassing Leah to this day. And again, Leah's a very good friend of mine. I absolutely adore her. She also knows this. But there isn't anything that I wouldn't do for her, for Lindsay, for Julie, for Benny. Like for my good friends, there is nothing that I wouldn't do. And up and moving just isn't the resolution. You know what I mean? Like, you can move yourself away from it, but if it's still coming to you, it doesn't matter where you move, right? She isn't even online anymore. She hasn't been in months. And yet, you know what I mean? Like, Holly's right. She shouldn't have to. She should be able to just live her life without people harassing her, you know? It's and a lot of it, it's online, and then they take it offline into real life. And that is where it becomes a problem, is where people who have never met you and don't know you take it from online into real life to try to hurt you, right? It's not really the resolution it sounds like. I mean, for different things, moving might be a resolution. In this scenario, it just isn't. Leah's been harassed years later, and she lives states and states and states away. She did move to get away from it, you know? And that's the other thing. You don't want to separate yourself from your only support systems and move unless you have a support system in another state that you're going to. You know what I mean? You know, it's too expensive, right? It's not something that, well, I don't think that's true. Honestly, I think any DA besides Norfolk absolutely would, because I know my county would never put up with this shit. No chance in hell. My county, there's no chance that my county is going to put up with the shit that Norfolk County did. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. And I live here in Massachusetts. There are other counties that will not do what Mike Morrissey did, and will not take steps they should have, like Mike Morrissey. It's really that simple, you know? Now, I think there's been a lot of misinformation and a lot of lies that have been spread about a lot of people, right? Not just Lindsay, but a lot of people. Julie, me, Karen, True Crime Rewind, you know, a lot of FKR like to spread rumors. But listen, I don't care who it is. Right is right and wrong is wrong. I thought it was bully. It was wrong when they bullied Esty off of X. I thought it was wrong what they did to Jen O'Donnell. She ended up in a hospital, and that's not okay either. I take, you know, suicide and mental health very seriously. My dad, and let me be clear, I have two dads, one my biological dad and one that adopted me when I was 4 or 5. And the one that adopted me when I was 4 or 5, that was my dad my whole life. I didn't meet my biological dad until I was already an adult. And so my biological dad died of suicide when I was 21 years old. And when someone leaves this earth because they feel like they can't live, it leaves a mark on everyone they loved. Right? All the things that my dad missed, walking me down the aisle, the birth of 2 out of the 3 of my children. You know, at least the one thing my dad got before he died was a grandkid. I had one daughter already, and she was 4 when my dad died, and it was just awful. Okay, I'll tell you all the things that my dad misses and all the things that my sisters, you know, wish that my dad didn't miss. And then I have a biological dad who is very sick right now, and I don't know how much longer he has left. And I'll tell you that you start to realize when you have sick relatives, and most of you know I have a daughter who has a terminal rare illness, you start to realize what's important in life, right? And this kind of harassing people online and trying to dig into their lives, people you don't even know, is not important. Spending time with the people that you care about, you know, doing the right thing is important. Stopping and smelling the roses, and I know it's cliche, but it is important, right? The people around you are important. Checking in on your neighbor, upstairs, downstairs, next door, it doesn't matter. Mowing their lawn, you know, getting snow off their car, like doing the little things. Those are the things. When you die, that dash in between the time that you were born, and I was born in 86, right? So my dash, it's going to say 1986, you know, at least 1986 to whatever year I die, right? That dash in between the year you were born and the year you die is what you left behind. What is that dash going to mean to the people that care about you? Is it going to mean, oh, this was a person that didn't really care, did awful things, was terrible to people? Or do you want that dash to mean something and people to say, hey, that person helped me out of a really tough situation, or hey, they checked on me when no one else did? Or it doesn't have to cost money to be a nice person. It doesn't have to cost money to do the right thing, right? And I don't care if it's free Karen Reed, not free Karen Reed. If someone is bullied, harassed, accused of things that they're not, the right thing, if you know that it isn't true, is to say, hey, hi, That's not true, and I know it. It doesn't matter whether you like the person or not. I don't have to like Jen Altman to say that's not her in that account, right? I don't have to like any of Free Karen Reid. I don't have to agree with anything they've done or said to do the right thing. And I think a lot of people kind of in this whole thing have made themselves a this side versus this side, right? And I think there's a lot of missed opportunities there, a lot of missed opportunities for people that probably outside of not, agreeing on this case, probably would get along, maybe be friends, maybe even have mutual friends. A lot of missed opportunity because hate is spreading like a virus. And I feel like if people maybe take that temperature down a little, right? You don't have to agree with people, right? But you don't have to be mean either. You don't have to accuse people of things you literally have no evidence of and know deep inside is not true, right? You don't have to do that. You choose to do that. You don't have to try to email someone's employer. You don't have to do that. You can just log off. There's so much that has gone on between the Karen Reid case and this case and the Kohlberger case that I've seen that is just like out of this world, right? Right in the beginning, they were blaming, in the Kohlberger case, the roommates that survived without any information. Like, yes, we can all speculate. And that's kind of what we do watching, true crime. But when you're speculating in a way that's going to hurt someone, and these are lessons learned, right? Learn them and then don't do them again. It's kind of how it works, right? Like learn the lesson and then try not to do that same thing again that's going to hurt someone. The roommates were blamed in the Kohlberger case right away, and people went after them. And the kids, that poor kid that found Xana and Ethan will never, ever forget what he saw. And I know because I've been through something similar. He'll never forget what he will see that every day of his life. Okay. Every single day. And by shooing away the other people he was with and telling them to get out of the house, he knew he was saving them from a lifetime of that. All right. And he's got that burden now. He holds that burden now of what he saw. For him to just be threatened and, all the things that were done to him in the very beginning because people didn't know. And it's like, just because you don't know doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just because you don't have the pieces to put together don't mean the pieces aren't there. Right? People really need to step back for a second and realize that just because it doesn't make sense right now doesn't mean it won't in the future. And when you don't have all the puzzle pieces, you can't possibly put a puzzle together. You just can't, because that's when you start hurting people, right? It is. And unfortunately, over the years, Massachusetts has become not so much a woman's state, Well, I mean, listen, it depends on what county you live on. And it also depends on the DA, and it really depends. I think Norfolk County, I grew up in Norfolk County. I know Norfolk County very well. And I would have to say that it's one of the worst in the state when it comes to really dealing with anything at all, right? I think there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize their behavior, especially online, can carry into real life. When you start saying things about people, other people spread that lie. And that lie can go pretty far to the point where it reaches some mentally ill people that decide they're not just going to say it online. They're going to take it offline and actually go and threaten, harass, show up to someone's house, stalk their children. Like, you don't know the level of danger you're sending to someone by accusing them of something they didn't do, or by mentioning their name in something just because you believe it to be true with no evidence, I might add. That's not the case. Right? And then you're sending out level of danger to those people without a care in the world. We need to do better, not just as YouTubers, but as people in general, right? We all need to do better. Now, I didn't see a lot of the Jess Machado, Kate interview yesterday. Saw a little bit of it. So I can't really give you guys what went on there much. I mean, we can maybe play a little clip of it and see what you guys think. I don't know how many of you watched it, how many of you didn't. Maybe you guys can tell me in chat how many of you guys watched it, how many of you guys did not watch it. trying to find, but I can tell you this whole John Barron account thing, it's got to end, dude. I also can tell you that the Mayor Neil account, the Crispy account, and any other one attached to or anything that has to do with any of those accounts have nothing to do with Kara, Karen, me, Julie, or anybody that we know of, because we don't even know who those accounts are. We don't even know who they are. We have no idea who those accounts are. Hi, Francesca. Okay, so maybe we'll play some of it because I guess, all right, I didn't watch it, but looks like, let's see here. Let's see if I can. Less than 5 minutes, yeah. I didn't watch it, a lot of it, but I'm gonna skip some of the beginning. I'm not a fan of hers. Let's just throw that out.
League, and then I said I would, and I was going to win and take all his money.
Hold on a second,
which I did. I won, and then he didn't pay me, and then I had to stalk him and be like, "Pay me my money." And
That's
now,
weird.
literally 2 days ago, he sent me a message, and he was like, I'm talking ancient. It was an old Chromebook. It weighed like 40 pounds.
Okay, I don't care about the Chromebook.
The squirt.
Before I had a break from Instagram.
Oh, I can't listen to that lady. I cannot do it.
Worried because of the vote, so I didn't want to.
I don't care who that is. Where's Kate? I think it's this part.
Saying we had the address up there. It's 657 Quarry Street in Fall River, 02723.
Thanks, Julie. Looks like it is like 2.
And then we will do
hours in.
So you can't see it here, but across from me over there is a big wall. We'll put bookshelves, and we'll just put all of the we're gonna bring all the souvenirs here. By the way, there's 2 flags. We'll get to that story another time.
I don't care about the flag.
I'm feeling better and I'm feeling relaxed, which is the perfect time because Kate Peter is going to be joining us. So I want to just, Erin has a request first because she's new. The chat was going fast. Yes. Can we
slow it down then?
Don't go back and forth with each other in the comment section. It's hard to keep up.
So don't. That's what a chat is for. You don't have to keep up. Let
people are going to go fast and things because.
Hey, Smitty.
Also, I did say to Kate, we could shut the comments off or we could limit them. And she
doesn't care.
Why? She went, why? She doesn't care. I want to do one thing before we get Kate and we want to bring her on because someone mentioned to me the other day.
I don't know what.
Months ago, I had asked.
All right, let's just throw this out there before she brings Kate on. I have no idea what's going to be said in this interview. I didn't watch it. I only watched like a small clip of it someone sent me. But what I do know is this. I am not a huge fan of Jess Machado. And for one simple reason. The journalism, and I put that in air quotations for a reason, that she had a problem with when it came to Aiden doing a story about her and all of the lies that he put in it without doing any actual real life evidence or talking to her is the exact same thing that she did to Lindsay, right? She didn't bother to even attempt to try to talk to Lindsay. And then she took court documents that don't even go with each other, that she was given by someone else, and tried to put them off as they were one and the same. Now, you can't sit there and say that you have a serious problem with the way Aiden did his story about you because he didn't talk to you. He didn't even attempt to, and that he just, lied in his article about you and then do the exact same thing to someone else because you're now up his ass. I mean, it's like Munchausen's by proxy. I think at some point we're dealing with this sort of like mental fuck. Tom CPU did the same thing. Aiden did a story about him. And funny enough, why did Aiden do that story about him? Oh, he did that story about him because Tom was saying that Aiden was cheating on his wife with Leah. Funny enough, that actually happened, and that was actually true. And to destroy Tom and to get rid of the rumor, because Aiden didn't want the truth out there, he wrote this article about Tom. Fast forward, Tom crawled up his ass because I think people are just afraid of him, which is sad. Just really sad in my opinion. Yes, that she was so she had the article written about her by him, same way Tom did, and now they're friends. Let's just make something abundantly clear. Aiden doesn't have friends. Or actually, I take that back. He has one friend that I know of. That's actually a friend of his, and not just someone who is there to try to, I don't know what they do, clout or oh, he's a YouTuber. I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand it. I like people. I'm a people person, so I happen to like people. But I have seen a lot of really shitty motives of people, and realistically, what he has is victims and not very good journalistic work. If you are willing to lie or stretch the truth about people because you don't like them because they got to the truth about something you did, I mean, that's not, come on. Right. But let's just point out that Jess Machado, who is this person, complained all about how Aiden didn't do, good journalism when it came to the article he did on her because he didn't talk to her and stuff he put out there just wasn't true. She then in turn did the exact same thing to Lindsay. So it's hypocritical if you ask me. So yeah. All right. So we're going to get to the Kate part. All right. He does have victims and a lot of them. It's sad, Yeah, I don't follow these people. There's that. All right. Also, I don't consider you guys followers as much as I do a family and friends, really, because I've gotten to know a big, big part of the people that watch me on a personal level. And to me, that makes a difference. All right. So here we go. Also, make sure, by the way, you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you already haven't. You can donate to the channel a bunch of different ways. You can remain anonymous. So you just donate and write ANON or A, and I'll know you just want to be anonymous. Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal, Revolut, and then we have the link that is pinned at the top of the chat right now, and you can use credit or debit. You don't have to have any of the payment apps to do that. And, we survive. Our channel survives on donations from you guys. It's been slow since the Karen Reed case stopped, which I expected. But I'm still just a teeny channel. So any help is greatly appreciated by you guys. All right, here we go. Ready? Yeah, I skipped that part because I can't listen to that lady. I literally can't do it. I start to cringe like this. I can't do it. I literally cannot.
Asked Kate a bunch of questions, and did I get rid of them? Are they gone?
Oh boy.
There were like a bunch of questions for Kate, and maybe I don't have them. It's gone. Anyway, we're gonna wing it.
Okay.
You guys, are you ready for Kate Peter?
This is why I usually write it down on paper.
I'm gonna have Kate give you the background on who she is. We might go to noon with Kate, it's a half-hour. Show ends at 12, and then stick around for a few more minutes so I can close it out and thank our sponsors again. But let's bring Kate Peter on the stage. Hi, Kate.
Hey, Jess.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
I'm great. First of all, thanks for agreeing to do this. Had a lot of people telling me you would never agree to it. Had a lot of people even up to a few minutes ago saying she's not coming on. She's going to
no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to you.
So there are some people that are watching have no idea who you are. If you have to give a description of who you are, what would it be?
So I'm a person on the internet that often fights with other people. It becomes sort of a show, and I have taken the opposite side to free Karen Reed, and that has upset a lot of people. And I actually want to talk a lot about that, right? As far as like what is so upsetting here, because I see a lot of hypocrisy in this movement, which I'm a little bit confused why it's still continuing. She's free, right? You watched it happen. I watched it. She's free. So the fact that she still has like this fandom and that it's now leaking over to the Sybil trial, which is, litigation between the victim's family and Karen Reed, to me, is just a little bit perplexing. I don't know how closely you're going to be following
We
the
lost you
loss
for a
of
second.
community, right? That you feel with the case over. So I don't know if you're planning on continuing that through the civil trial or.
Well, let me pause you for a second because I appreciate a good backhanded dig saying that I lost a sense of community. I appreciate
that
that.
wasn't a backhanded dig. You did put up that post, and I find it interesting. That's not a backhanded dig at all. I mean, we're living in a completely different age now, and so there is meaningful connection that comes out of stuff like this. I'm not trying to take a dig at you at all.
I'll push back on you and say I asked you to describe who you were to everybody, and your first words were, I've had the take of I'm anti-Karen Reed. You could have named yourself and talked about yourself in any other capacity. You started off right with the Karen Reed thing, right? So it's a big part of who you are, obviously, right? Would you agree?
Well, I think it's more the context around this, right? Like that's the common thread. I assumed that was probably, you had Paula Prado on, and so I'm just assuming. In the broader sense of who I am, I don't really want to have an existential crisis at 11:30 in the morning on your show, but for all intents and purposes in the context, I think that's what's pertinent, right?
So go ahead. I'm going to give you an opportunity because I want to ask questions. By the way, I know you often do a show, correct? You have your own show. Is that true?
I do, not as much as I used to right now. I'm working on some other stuff that takes a lot of time, and I got burnt out by live streaming after a while. So, but I used to, and every once in a while I'll pop up on
Does burn you out for sure.
Maybe fire up one of my own, but not really my thing right now.
In the event that we don't get an opportunity for you to ask me questions and me respond, I'm happy to jump on yours and answer whatever we don't get to. I know we only have a little bit of time. But go ahead and start off with what you were going to say. I have some questions, but you were just talking.
Why don't you go ask some questions?
All right. So the first thing I need to know, and I think a lot of people want to know, and when we talked on the phone, I said, all of a sudden you have an anti-Morrissey stance. And you said, well, I was never actually for Morrissey leading up until this point. But you have come out with some statements that have clearly, drawn a line here.
I've made that very clear.
Can you elaborate a little bit on not necessarily your change, but what we are seeing as your stance, which is anti-Morrissey right now?
Right. So I was never pro-Morrissey. I was not specifically anti-Morrissey, but you're looking at the case, right? And Morrissey really doesn't have his hands right on top of the Karen Reed case. I would entirely unmerited, but Morrissey's in a different position, right? He's a politician.
Sorry, we were buffering.
So I didn't really think that everything that was going on with Karen Reed reflected on him one way or the other. It's just his office, and I have my own feelings, which are strongly pro-prosecution in that case. However,
wait, hold that thought. I don't want to disjoint you, but if Morrissey isn't the one who is the top cover, in control, who, just really quick, who's the one in control?
A special prosecutor does his own thing, just FYI.
Well, Morrissey is the one who is making the decisions as far as staffing, funding, things of that nature, right? Right.
Go ahead.
Maybe sometimes he'll sign a motion, but the actual grunt work, the work here, right? Because that's what these cases are, whether you're the prosecution or the defense, it's work. The people that were doing the work were clearly Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin, and then later on, Hank Brennan. So although Morrissey has a certain degree of oversight, does he know what's going on with the case every day? No. Does he have his finger on every piece of evidence? Absolutely not. He's a politician, right? And so the decisions that he makes as far as prosecuting this woman, I don't understand why people would ever complain about that. He had the responsibility to. They had a case that was clearly a triable case. It was tried twice, right? They are under an obligation to prosecute that. So the idea that Michael Morrissey was going to capitulate to online pressure and arguably abuses and just drop this case that was clearly a triable case is ludicrous, and I think would reflect poorly on him if he did. You don't want a spineless DA. However, then he lost the case. Okay. His office lost the case. Adam Lally, Hank Brennan, and Laura McLaughlin, their work was not enough, and this case is lost. And then we watched Michael Morrissey go into I'm going to get reelected. Let's just sweep this under the rug. And one of the first things that he did that I found highly objectionable was immediately cut off the victim witnesses' access to their advocate, right? Which is against the law. And, you know, I understand that some of this leaked out through some discovery in other cases and you know, chatter that went around and that people were celebrating this, but you want victims treated well by your district attorney, right? Just because
I just went
you
over this.
personally out there have negative
Victims
feelings
have a right
about
to
these
still
people that
have
you've never met, that you have no solid evidence did anything wrong. You've decided you joined your online cult.
After
Fine.
a case is over, they
The
still have
problem
that
is
right
that the
to have an
treatment that
advocate.
they receive then could be
just explained this.
replicated in
I've
other
never watched
cases
this,
where maybe
so-
you won't feel the same way.
What's the motivation for disconnecting with the advocate? Is it a financial decision? What do you think is the reason?
I don't know. I've contrary to popular
I don't
belief,
even
I've
know.
never spoken to Michael Morrissey in my natural life.
I
Is
don't
he
know
the
what
only one you
to
haven't
the
spoken
law.
to?
No,
I mean, victims do
he's not the
have
only
the
one.
right. So
That you haven't not spoken
and I don't
to?
know a specific law that would hold
I've never spoken to Adam Lally. I've never spoken to Laura McLaughlin. I've never spoken to Michael Morrissey. I have never really spoken to Hank Brennan even. I will say, and this is entirely discoverable, I would assume, when the juror questions came out, I could read the writing on the wall. So I reached out to Hank Brennan via email and said, listen, the entire time this trial was going on, I'm sure he's aware of me. I was clearly aware of him, but there was no communication. I said, I'm reaching out now just to let you know that no matter the outcome of this case, you won. You won because you stood up and you were able to give this family a sense of closure. I mean, again, if you listen to the case and you listen to his closing, he was able to get down to the second, pretty much, more or less what happened to their loved one, right? And that closure is worth a lot. And I know that from hearing from the family and friends of John O'Keefe, that Hank Brennan was very sensitive to what they were going through. He was very receptive. He was very dedicated. He gave them a lot of peace and solace and a sense of confidence.
As opposed to Lally. Lally wasn't giving that, or didn't
necessarily think. I think that Lally was pretty invested too. And I don't want to, you know, cast aspersions on Adam Lally. I've said this on Kevin's show and I'll say it on yours. I love a dispassionate prosecutor. Like I do. I think that is ideal. Everybody wants to be in front of a prosecutor that's just doing his job. He's not out to get you. He's not emotionally invested. You know, he comes in 9 to 5, goes home, smokes his cigarettes and like just gets on with his life, right? You don't want a system that takes itself to, not seriously, that's not the word I'm looking for, but you know, a system that's really caught up in itself and doesn't really, and starts to have feelings about you as the defendant, right? So I like Adam Lally, but you know, the I don't want to say competence, the experience level was pretty drastically different between Lally and Brennan.
And Hank Brennan,
before you keep going, so the first time you reached out to Hank Brennan was during jury deliberations?
It was when the jury questions came out, yeah.
And did he respond to you?
No.
So you sent him an email using his public email, just telling him.
I found on the website. Yeah, I'm sure he's gotten a million of them from a million different people, good and bad, which is something else that, you know, I was sensitive to, particularly because, I mean, those jury questions were pretty clear when you're using the defendant's first name and you're asking questions about how you can essentially, you know, protect and preserve them. You kind of know where the jury is going. And I imagine that he was probably going to be receiving a lot of unsolicited mail around that time from people like me and not like me, and that a lot of it was going to be negative. And I'm sure that just from what I had heard about his investment in the case and his care and concern for the family, you know, I figured he would probably take it pretty hard, and maybe it was going to be nice to hear from a stranger that, you know, he did what he set out to do, even if he doesn't get the result that he was hoping. And then I did see him in passing, and this is.
So let's make something abundantly clear here. Hank has never talked to Kate. I talked to Hank after the case was finished, and I gave him all you guys' love and wishes. He is very nice, and he doesn't respond to everyone, but he does respond sometimes. And he is very graceful, you know, and there's a reason why he's not doing interviews right now, and he doesn't feel like it would help the family, and I agree with him. But I hope one day I said to him, like, I'm going to pick your legal brain. I need to pick his legal brain, not just for this case, but for so many other things. Hank's brilliant. And I was like, listen, I want to have you on, just like, I need to pick your legal brain. So it'll probably be a while, but I think Hank has that sort of passion that I see very rarely in people. It's like a burning desire inside of you to want to not only do what's right, but passion for the law and following, the way it's supposed to work traditionally. And it doesn't always work the way it's supposed to, as we know. But Hank has that sort of fire in him, No, he will not be involved in anything that has to do with Aiden because it would be a conflict. He was a special prosecutor on Karen's case, so he's not going to, be special prosecutor on Aiden's case or anything. But I don't know. He very well could be dealing, again, he's no longer working in the Norfolk DA's office. He's out already. So realistically, he could be, I guess, consulting. I don't really know, but I'm assuming he went back to just his own law practice, and I'm sure he's not have any lack of inquiries of people to have him represent them. So, he did what he came to do. And again, he was only a special prosecutor. He didn't work for the DA's office, He was brought in just for the case, Yeah, I mean, it's a very real possibility, but again, they might have someone else, they might have someone else. I mean, I guess that's the problem, is differentiating for everybody what's truth and what isn't. I still don't, he was very impressive. I agree with you. I still have I just don't understand what Jess's point was of this whole thing. Like, what is the point to bring on Kate? Like, is it just like, is this her first show in her new studio? Like, what is the Kate has already said all of this publicly. Like, there's no giant conspiracy. It doesn't exist. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know if they get into that. I guess we'll find out. But I would assume if Jess was going to bring her on, she would ask things like, did you and Lindsay and Leah set up Aiden in this grand conspiracy that never existed? You know what I mean? Like, what is the point? I mean, yeah, she lost her questions. I mean, winging it, sure. I mean, I guess you could wing it if you know the really important questions. So, I mean, do we get to those? Do those ever happen? I guess we'll find out. Well, I mean, here's the, okay, this is what I can say is I have come from a place inside of this that's sort of inside of it and not just what you guys publicly see on the outside. And there's a lot more than even the public knows when it comes to different things with different people. And I think eventually, oh, is that what it was? She said at the end, she's thinking of a villain segment. But, I mean, I just don't get the thought behind it, but I guess, I mean, well, we know that she's a wackadoo, Julie. That one, I wonder who she's accusing today of being the John Barron account or the Crispy account or the 72 other ones she argues with.
Something that I wish that people would understand about Hank Brennan too. After the verdict, there was a memorial that was held for John O'Keefe by his immediate family, friends. It was a smaller event. I say smaller, but I mean, this guy had a lot of support. There was probably like 60 people there, but I do know that Hank Brennan was present there, but I kind of just came in.
Was it hosted by? Like, who hosted that?
I'm not comfortable going. I mean, I'm not going to.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like somebody
specifics.
not related to the. So you were invited to it?
This was yes, I was invited to it. I didn't just show up, but it wasn't. No, it was pretty intimate as far as it was just people that knew and loved John, who should be important this and have not been. So, but it really touched me to know that Hank Brennan was present for that and was still supporting his family, even though the state is no longer paying him to do so at this point. He has no obligation, but he's still supporting this family and he's paying his respects to the victim. So, I mean,
do you think Hank Brennan got paid too much money for this
The
case
fuck no.
and prosecution?
I believe he was billing at what, $250 an hour?
which is
Do you
like
feel
nothing.
comfortable with the dollar amount that the taxpayers have spent on this case
Yep.
overall? I mean,
Sure do.
that's a big
I
thing.
don't pay
People talk
tax.
about
I
the
don't pay
money.
taxes in Norfolk County, but I don't believe that we should be attaching justice to a
To a
dollar
dollar
sign,
amount,
really.
right?
How would you feel if it was your husband,
one.
brother, son? You know, would you want them to pull out all the stops for you and give you the best shot at justice, or would you prefer that they pinch their pennies?
Well, I mean, we hit a brick wall with that, right? As far as they're concerned, there's no
No,
path
there's no brick
to
wall.
justice through Karen Reed. And so I guess some people would look at it and say it was a waste of taxpayer dollars. There's no path to
Well,
victory there for the people
There
advocating
was
for
a
justice.
path to
That's
victory.
not what I asked, though. I asked if it was your brother, your son.
No,
right?
I just kind of glazed over that question. I was just going back to, like, you know, sentiments and things that I've read, especially, you know, a lot of mainstream
just answer
media
the
published the
question.
dollar amount
Would it?
attached to this
Come on.
this trial. A lot of
Really?
people saying this is our taxpayer dollars. I don't want my money spent on it. Earlier, I
don't
know
want my
you were
money
busy,
spent
you
on
were
anything
walking
that
your
has
puppy,
to do with
but, like, we
helping
were
you.
talking about the
But
connection between
if that was the
voting
case,
and
it
who
would,
ends up
right, Jess?
becoming your district attorney, and then that person makes these decisions. So I was just trying to tie the money in. I was just curious if you felt that
I
there
can
was
agree with
too
that,
much
Lisa.
money being spent overall on this whole
Absolutely.
case in general.
Absolutely.
I mean, Hank Brennan really
He's a good
discounted
egg.
his rate
He's a
significantly.
good egg.
Right?
He
I mean,
discounted his
$2.50 an
rate
hour
big
for an
time.
attorney in the city is
Yeah.
Cheap.
unheard of, right? It's unheard of. And you know, the complexities of this case, again, they were serving the family, and you know, you need to take it out of just this issue in and of itself, right? With Karen Reed, because people are very entrenched, very dug in, you know. Again, I really don't see the injustice in a woman whose car data shows she was backing up erratically at the same time as the victim in this case stopped moving forever. You know, draw the inference from there as you
Which
want.
is
You
why
can
I
be
would
like
never
Colorado
bother
and
going
think
on
that
her
he just
show.
hit him with the
What?
car, he
There's no
lost
good
his shoe, then went in the
thing
house and got
here.
murdered. Or you can plug your ears and say no, nothing happened with the car. It doesn't really matter. That is enough to say this is a triable case. And so if you take it out of this case and say, well, what if it was me and my family? Would you want a second trial? Would you want a trial as many times as possible until
Yep.
you could get some sort of closure? Would you
Yeah.
want them to skimp, or would you want them
Nope.
to, you know, expend as much resources as they can?
As they can.
And,
Right.
you know, I would hope that other cases in Norfolk County that do not
Walsh.
involve such high profile defendants or police officer victims, or, you know, the money that was expended into this, I would hope that they expend the same sort of care and expense into
Well,
every
they
case.
don't. I mean,
but-
take it for somebody that covers other trials and they don't. I mean, there's a big disparity between, you know, the work that goes into different levels of cases. I mean, just having covered a couple cases, it's very different. I
Right,
wanted to
so
go ahead.
what makes Karen Reed special in that regard then?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that make her special, but I want to move because we don't have a lot of time. So I want to ask you a question about anti-Karen Reed, for Karen Reed, whatever. That's one thing. In the scope of all of these people that are kind of in that
Exactly,
camp
Jimbo.
and the Turtle Boy camp,
Yeah, she is
You're an
from
adversary.
Massachusetts.
it's obvious you feel very comfortable in that role. You're
Right.
confident in that role. Is there any space or time
Wait,
where
what?
you're not an adversary, where your opinion and what you think actually does align with the majority? You're part of a smaller group. You're an adversary in these
It is
stories.
nauseating.
In many of the stories that
Agreed,
are
Lisa.
surrounding Aiden. Is there anywhere where you're not an adversary, where you do align with him or the Free Karen Reed people
With him.
on a different topic or an issue? Or
Different
are you just
topic, sure.
always by default an adversary?
No.
No.
So I mean, I did write for the guy for 2 years. I at the time, you know, believed that we had more common cause than was reality, right? I don't agree with the tactics, whatever. But you know, there have been years in between me leaving Turtle Boy and Karen Reed where I really didn't comment much on what he was doing, whether or not I agreed with it or not. But sometimes it's not that I would disagree with it. I
Trying to
mean,
look at your
you know,
stuff when they pop
certainly.
up and your friends may know. Sometimes it's because they look at your stuff.
Entailed
Sometimes.
politics in particular, but you know, he certainly has been correct
No,
on
it's
things like
not.
the mayor of Fall
There's a
River,
lot
for
of
instance, is,
anti-people
you
that
know,
are
one that I can
quiet
come up
about
with
it.
off
They
the
won't
top
say
of
it
my
publicly
head,
because they're
where
afraid.
it's fair play. There's nothing to really, you know, argue with or comment on. The guy's a public figure who clearly did something wrong, and, you know, that's legitimate. And, you know, we go over to the Karen Reed situation, though. No, there's absolutely nothing to agree with whatsoever. You know, I see that, you know, you had said, I don't want a lot of drama. I'm trying to elevate things. I know that you care about at least the perception of journalism, right? Right.
No.
Okay.
Well, a lot of the stuff I do not related to Karen Reed is fact-based journalism,
Is
FOIA
it?
requests, public records requests, and then taking that
Interesting.
information.
You didn't do
and
anything
making
fact-based when it
easily
came to
digestible
Lindsay,
to
did you?
viewers. Those are things that don't
Just
often get
saying.
extracted through mainstream media. So it's
Interesting.
in that respect, the meat and potatoes of my work
Hilarious.
is rooted in those types of things.
No, it's not.
Karen Reed was a one-off. I hadn't covered a trial before,
That is
so
bullshit.
you know, I understood that there was passion surrounding it
Didn't
and
do
people
anything
that were interested in a
fact-based
different
when it came
perspective. And
to
I'm sure you've heard the
reporting
story why I
Lindsay. It was
started
all
covering
bullshit.
it. So, you know, I wanted to be an alternate voice in the courtroom that was taking what I saw and then typing it on a screen.
Shit.
So
You are right, Scorpio.
fact-based reporting is kind of my thing. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't often see in fact-based reporting repeatedly making statements such as,
No,
you know,
Lisa.
this group of people should not go outdoors anymore. You're always going to be found. You're always going to be,
Which is
you know,
ridiculous.
and then also following through with that too. I don't see a lot of journalism where there's calls to action to persecute people who have been charged with no crimes. Even if they had, what I can say is that in the 3 years that this case went on, nobody ever went to
Fact-based my
Karen
ass.
Reed's home. Nobody
Nope.
ever hassled her parents in public. Nobody ever really hassled her in
Nope.
public, with the exception of that one lunatic that came in from like Florida or whatever. But you didn't see a lot of copycats after the fact, right? Nobody ever, you know, repeatedly
fact-based.
called her and told her that she can't leave her house, or, you know, that just didn't
Except for the
happen. It's not
Reed case, right.
appropriate. That's not, first, it's not journalism, but it's not justice either. And that's something that we continue to see happen to this day, right? And you may step back and say, well, I didn't do most of that. And I don't think you did. I did a very cursory look just to be sure before I broached the subject, but I don't see that you've done it a lot. I've seen you sit complicitly by and kind of seal clap for it, though.
Well, I
Yeah.
listen. So, you know, you're
Not
talking
journalism.
to a girl who spoke out against people in her own community and caught my own cases, so to speak. You know what I mean? That landed me in my own
Please.
court issues.
No,
And I
your
understand more
behavior
than
did.
anybody
Stop it.
that my intentions were to just have a different opinion, speak up against local politicians
No,
and
it
people that
wasn't.
were in
It was
power
to try to
that
scare
I
people.
thought were,
Stop it.
you know, not being forthcoming or transparent. And by speaking up, that caught me a bunch of trouble. I've never had a criminal record. I don't have any other issues ever. I didn't even have a speeding ticket. I've lived that. And I understand that when you have a different opinion, or you're confronting
Right,
elected
Julie?
officials or people in power, and you have a different opinion than what most of the people
Oh,
say,
please.
that draws
You're
attention
kissing
to you, and then
up
people
Turtle
in
Boy's
power
ass.
use
Here it
and
is,
leverage
folks.
that power to kind of get at you. I mean, I've lived it. So
Please.
People like
there's-
soccer moms like Jen McCain, and what you're talking about, because
Yeah.
I'm aware of your situation,
yeah,
which I
I
find
mean,
to be
listen,
very very
I-
hypocritical as well. But you're talking about petty disputes that were also resolved somewhat. So they mean court abuse. Do I think that either one of you ladies in that situation were legally entitled to restraining orders against each other? Probably not. There's a lot of incongruity with how those things are put on. The fact that one was on you for 3 years, to me, is ludicrous. And I've heard both sides of the story, right? And
the
what
only
it
difference
boils
is I
down
didn't
to is,
understand. First of all, I didn't have an attorney, so I couldn't afford
Right,
one, and
right.
I didn't understand the process or the law. And once I did,
Most people don't.
and I advocated for myself, it was dropped. The only difference there was, and I say it all the time, I said it to the judge, you can pull it. I said, the reason this has been in place for so long is poverty. I didn't understand the law and I couldn't afford an attorney.
Oh,
Right.
Now that I
poverty's a
do,
problem for you,
I
Jess.
would bet nobody will ever get a restraining order on me because I don't break the law and I understand the law now.
but I'm agreeing with you on that was
Okay.
a bad mistake. It's not.
Okay.
you have to understand with 258E, right, which is the harassment prevention order statute.
Yeah.
It's a copy and paste from
I
209A, but
can't.
prior to them enacting 258E, you could only get an order of protection if it was an intimate relationship, a family or an intimate partner. And so there was an incident where there was a
you go,
waitress,
Lisa.
right? And this waitress is being stalked by a patron, and she's getting very concerned for her safety.
Thank you.
And she's going to court, and they're saying,
Most
well,
people
you
do
don't
not
know
have
the guy. He's not related to you. You never dated him. There's nothing
Most
we
people
can do.
don't.
Yeah,
And he ended up murdering her. That is the
Not a
spirit of that
defense.
statute, right?
Right.
So the fact that it has devolved to essentially a mechanism to silence dissenting opinions
Yep.
is something that irritates me. And I certainly would contend that I am dealing with that, right? Because we can pull, transcripts or the FTR on the last hearing that I had with A1 Mr. Aiden T. Carney. And his complaints about me were that I post about him too much, that I said that he killed his dog and he did not, and therefore it incited people against him. And
Please.
that he,
What
was
does he
in
do then?
mortal fear because of this. Specifically, admitted
Does he
no
currently
true
have a
threats.
restraining? I don't know, just because
Yeah,
I'm going to be very.
and your audience does, I guarantee it. But
So
this is my point here, right? We're talking about words on the internet, and you again pull the FTR. He admits no true threats, no fighting words, right? And it's issued anyway. It was taken under advisement and then issued. It is what it is. I went in without a lawyer as well. And you're contending against a force in this case. It's just to try to shame, discredit, silence. I understand that, right? I do. And I think that what is important with this is that we have an individual here who has advanced way past anything you or I have ever had to deal with as consequences, right? This is not a petty misdemeanor that's going to get dropped, quaffed, or filed away in court. It's not a civil order. These are serious indictments.
So let me just
that
let me
keep
let
piling
all
up.
viewers know. Let all viewers know what you're referencing is Aiden Carney's witness intimidation charges.
Correct.
That he's going to be going to trial for. I'm going to let you say a couple things about it. Then I want to talk about that for a second. Go
Right.
ahead.
This has progressed to a level that is way beyond that. These are not politicians. These are not public figures. These are not people who have voluntarily put themselves on the internet. I ask for everything that I get online, as do most people involved in this conversation, right? You put yourself out there, you're going to get what you get back. We have a group of people who did not do that, though, and to this day have been charged with no crimes, have not been investigated for any crimes. There is nothing to suggest that they've done.
Let me back up for a second. So let me just say, Kevin Smith is getting victimized by Aiden and his activism, right? Let's just give a blanket statement like that.
So it's
Could Kevin-
activism, not journalism.
Well,
That's a distinction.
You can be a journalist and an activist. And he definitely blends those two roles. I mean, 100%.
I don't know that you can all the time, because that kind of eats into your objectivity.
I think you can, and I don't think that we should even put any parameters on it. I think his type of journalism is extremely
We can
unique.
call it criminal conduct because that's technically what it is. So it's criminal conduct.
Let me go back and ask that question. Could Kevin Smith, whoever was being victimized by Aiden's, style of advocacy or activism, go and get a restraining order against him?
It would depend.
But so, I mean, if
what do you mean?
if
That
all of these
depends.
individuals feared and were worried and concerned, why not leverage the court system and go and say, here's A, B, C, and D, and everybody go and say, I need a restraining order. And, I've had one against me. You've had one against you. I don't know if you approach it the same way as I do, but it put the fear of God in me. Not only because I didn't want to accidentally be around person, but also that they could manipulate that law in some way and cultivate a circumstance.
I mean, isn't that what
violation of it?
he's been doing for years, is
HBO
manipulating
scare me.
laws?
And so I
the system
essentially
with
avoided,
fake
took
evidence?
extra care.
Just saying.
Why not just go get restraining
saying.
orders against him?
Or I
is it
believe that
possible
was attempted, and they hit a judge who did not issue it. And again, right, but then you look at
incitement.
What did you get a restraining order on Holly for?
He tried to say that
I didn't.
saying
So
that he
just
killed a
full
dog,
transparency,
inciting
I
people
didn't get
against
a
him.
restraining
What the
order
fuck does
on
he do
her.
then?
She was looking for a restraining order on me.
Mhm.
I defended myself to that. In the event that the judge was going to allow that, I was going to make a case for me getting a restraining order based on similar styles of behaviors that she had.
Okay, so
Her
what did she
case
get
went
one on
first.
you?
Her case went first. The judge denied it. It didn't meet the threshold. And so I didn't understand. I actually had to withdraw my motion for one, but you can hear it. I just said, I'm not going to move forward with this. I respect the court and how they understand the meaning and interpret this law, and I'm not going to move forward. And so I didn't present my case. I didn't present evidence. I just said, I get it. And that was it. I didn't officially withdraw it because I'm not an attorney, but if you pull the transcript, you'll see I was just basically like, okay, this judge understands it. I was defending myself. I basically put myself with the safety net and said, if I do get a judge that isn't really going to look at this law in the way that I think it should be interpreted, and they're going to allow
Shouldn't be using a restraining order as
connection or me being in the same place at the same time, and then drop a restraining order
on me,
on
so I
me.
need to get one on them.
I've got my own
Judges
set
don't
of
like
facts
that.
would fall under that umbrella,
Yeah, well,
and
that's
so
the
let me
thing.
present
Don't
it.
play
But once
games
I
with it.
heard his decision and that he was saying, listen, this is not harassment, this is not A, B, C, or D, I knew that this judge understood and I wasn't going to move forward. So I didn't get one on her. She tried to get one on me. It was declined. The only success I've ever had in obtaining a restraining order was Stephen Cody, who was sending food and things to my house and
Did the same thing to me. Did I go
crazy
for a
videos
restraining
online.
order?
That scares you?
No.
Does that scare you?
Well, there was a video that
Come on.
scared me that talked about like effing my skull, and it was pretty grotesque and disgusting. And that alone a pattern that
So
based on
people
his-
showing
The
up
same
at your
thing to
house
me.
you think is harassment.
Over and over and
Say it again.
over to my house.
People-
is I had no idea who he was. And so all of those behaviors together and not knowing who that person was, and also his own criminal history, is what kind of made me feel like he was unstable. And so I asked for, and by the way, it was a temporary restraining order that was issued. I didn't ask for it to be extended.
I never
And
went
as you
for
know,
one
my only
against
other
him.
one is against Grant. And that was because it got physical, which I think is what it should actually be used for when it gets
So
physical.
you're afraid of Grant Smith Ellis.
I'm definitely afraid of his instability. His behaviors are extraordinary, and I don't understand, and
What
it makes me
behaviors
nervous.
specifically? What behaviors specifically? 'Cause
Well,
I know
watching
you guys
him,
got I saw
watching
the
him
video.
get angry
You
and
could have
attack
left,
me.
and he could have left, right? You're
Both
both
could
screaming
have.
at each other, and I guess he picked up a chair. I mean, listen, I don't like.
No,
Grant
she
Smith
picked up
Ellis,
the
so
chair
like,
and
let's
threw
not
the
take this
chair.
as a personal offense. The guy's a fucking lunatic. We can agree on that, okay? Like that's But again, like you're saying things, right? And on one side of your mouth, you're going, well, this is activism. It's somewhat defensible. What's going
The
on
only
with the
reason
McKeebs
I
and
have a
Alberts?
restraining order against Grant, the only reason is because he physically put his body and his hands on
No,
me.
he backed
I
up
could
and
have
bumped into
handled
you.
his behaviors if
We
it
have
were
the
just
video, Jess.
verbal.
Just
Was
FYI.
it easy to do?
Yeah,
No,
we've seen it.
because
But
he
not
has
Steve Cody's then.
Steve Cody crossed that threshold of coming to my home
Did he?
and making
It's my house. I didn't go for a
sexual
restraining order.
videos
Over and over and over.
about me getting killed and fucking my skull. And I don't know that person. If I had met that person, or I had people in common with him where I could have kind of like bounced off like ideas of who this person is and he's harmless, maybe I wouldn't have been so scared. But the culmination of videos, sending things to my home, and then having all these people show up with food to kind of disrupt my household made me wonder, who is this person?
You did
I
the
don't
same
know
thing
him.
to me, and I didn't
think
know
I
him
need
either.
some protection.
didn't
And by the
run for a
way,
restraining
all I did
order.
was go and ask a
Same.
judge, do you think I need protection? And the judge agreed. I didn't ask for anything more than what had just happened to me.
When you're
With
making
Grant,
that
by the
request,
way,
you're
with
signing.
Grant
You're
was-
signing under the pains of penalty that you have a good. You don't go in and go, I don't know, Judge. What's your opinion?
No, no,
Obviously,
no.
the
I said,
final
listen,
decision is their opinion, but you
you're
are putting
afraid.
under the pains of perjury that you are afraid and that you have a good faith belief that you were entitled to this order,
You're
right?
absolutely
the
afraid.
video online is what sealed the deal for me with Steve Cody. That video was extremely deeply concerning. But with Grant Smith Ellis, every time I've gone in front of the court, you can get the transcript. I'm going to show you this interaction with him and I, which, by the way, I understand it didn't get the whole interaction, but the whole interaction would have showed him running up the stairs after me. He put his hands on me. He put his body up against me, his hand on my back. I don't want anybody
No, she
touching
bumped
me.
into him.
Kate,
So that
you know,
happened.
that's
Come on,
weird.
stop
If
it.
somebody that you don't like, if Aiden Carney touched you or put his body up against you, you would want an HPO. You'd be like, I don't want this guy
No,
touching
and
me.
honestly, throughout the years, at this point, I played the whole HBO game in the beginning. He's going to try to get one on me. I'm going to try to get one on him. But the fact of the matter is, whether it's him or me, when we sign that paper saying I am scared, it's a lie. You're lying to the court, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm
You're
not.
not scared. You're not scared of Grant Smith Ellis like going unhinged and getting crazy.
No,
I mean,
well,
you know him.
no.
You've been
No,
around
he's
him.
a fucking soy boy. He is a soy boy. He is a whiny, delusional
Steve
pothead
Coates said a
who
bunch
has
of
to
shit to my
drive his
house.
mother's car.
Bunch of
I'm
times.
assuming that if he was driving off to go do something reckless, she would probably tell him no. She has that kind of level of control over him, even though he's like 38 years old or however old he is,
Hey,
because
I'm
he's
going
a
to tell you
fucking
something.
lunatic.
When he was running up those stairs to come and get me from moving that chair, he was
You threw the chair,
crazy.
Jess.
Like, it
You
was a
threw the chair. You don't
crazy
think that's
physical
crazy? You
push.
picked up
I
the
mean, like,
chair
that's
and
the
you
thing.
threw it, Jess.
Talking, this could go
You were
crazy,
both
right? Between
screaming
you and
at
I,
each
we
other.
could run our
So
mouth.
that's one instance. What were the other two?
That's it. That's all it took.
Well,
No, that's not the
you
law.
have to have 3 by
It
law.
takes 3 separate acts.
3.
Three separate acts of harassment.
She
It
said
does.
he
3
looked
separate
at her
acts.
boobs at
So
court.
what are the other two? I know that
I had
originally you had made complaints that he was making posts about you, that he was making allegations against you that were baseless, as I recall. That was one of your complaints. And I understand how that can be distressing, right? Like, I mean, he does it to me right now, and I'm pretty thick-skinned because
I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but for Grant, I believe it
seen
was
it.
the physical situation. It was
She
him
said he looked at her boobs
inside
in
the
court.
press box talking to other peers right there about like
First Amendment.
lying about me.
First
I'm going to be
Amendment.
honest with you, Kate. I had 3 different judges for Grant. So the first was an emergency order. The second was the first order that was instilled. And then I had a different judge for the third. All 3 of them pulled the transcripts. I showed the video. I talked about what happened that day. All 3 of them issued them. It didn't
and 3
take
judges
3.
issued against you too. So maybe we can just say that judges are not
It was
always
the
right. in
same
this
judge.
regard.
It was Kevin Finnery was the only judge that issued against me in that
Well,
order.
okay, then
Same
one
judge.
judge 3 times, but I don't really consider that to be the hallmark of a
Well, one of them
legitimate.
has a restraining order against them right now, and it's not me. It's
Oh,
you.
as of right now, right? Like, I haven't run out the 3-year clock yet either. And again, I don't agree that there should have been a restraining order against you. I think that I understand why you're getting defensive, and I get it.
I'm not
But it's-
defensive. I mean, listen, I'm going to be honest with you.
You're
I
being a
understand the
hypocrite.
optics
It's that
of
simple.
restraining orders, and believe me,
You're saying Aiden
between
doesn't need,
you
but
and
you need
Aiden
one on
and all of
someone
these
for
things, I get that. And
behaviors
then
that don't
Holly
even
going to
rise
try
to
to
that
get one.
level.
I get that. I was kind of like, oh, this is stupid.
But then you diminish
I
what
really
has
needed the one
happened
from
to
Grant.
the Alberts, McCabe's, and the O'Keefes too. But the Alberts and the McCabe's, at least, are the ones that are named victims on this. You diminish that, like, you are entitled to get a restraining order against Grant Smith Ellis because he told some lies about you in the press
Because
box
he
and touched your
me.
back.
I got a
Touched your
restraining
back,
order against him because he
touched
me.
your back, right? You're entitled to get an ex parte order against Stephen Cody because he makes creepy videos about you and says crazy stuff and
He's
says
in
moves
jail.
to your house. Which, by the way, he's done the same to me. I still
He's in
get. I don't
jail,
know if
though.
you've
You
ever
know
gotten
he's in jail,
Tomorrow's
right?
World.
And Karen,
I know he's in jail.
from True
And
Crime and Wine.
I feel a certain way about that.
Thanks.
Even though
And
he's
Kevin.
done the exact same thing to me, I still get the junk mail to this day. I've had the food. I just never
You know that
responded to it.
when I called the police about Steve Cody first, right? When I found out it was him,
Right.
right? Because he messaged me. I called the police officer. It was probably 11:30 at night, and I asked the police officer. I said, "Listen, I don't know this guy. Do you think I have anything to be worried about?" And he said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Somerset." And he said, "He Ubers everywhere, and I
Right.
don't think he can afford to Uber to your house tonight. But that doesn't mean that he
irrelevant.
can't come. I suggest you get a court order against him." That scared me when the cop said he might not be able to afford an Uber today, but maybe tomorrow, and then he's coming to you. So I was like,
To
okay,
do what?
Who knows?
Okay, so I mean, the Alberts and the McCabe's have had repeated visitors, and it's not just Carney either. Just to
Have
be
they
fair,
tried to get restraining orders? Has Jen McCabe gone to get a restraining
she
order?
did,
against
and
anybody?
it was denied. And I don't think it should have been denied. But she hit a judge who I
Why
don't
not
think
try-
got it
why
right.
not go to a different court and ask for a?
Because
Well,
who's
I
gonna
mean, at
keep
this
going and
point, that's
going?
just sort of,
Come on.
isn't that a little bit extra? I don't think that they're out to try to like destroy this guy or throw everything at the wall at him.
And they be out.
I'm just stopping that for 1 second because A, I want to make a comment, and B, my little maid that no, you can't be. She made this little sign for you guys. I'm not buying the pearl clutching either, but it says, "My mom loves you guys. You are her fans." And she made this cute little sign for you guys to see. Here you go, baby.
You're welcome.
But I will say something about all that, okay? So, some hypocritical bullshit I've ever heard. So, while trying to attempt saying Aiden can be an activism and a journalist and harass people and it's not harassment, right? While saying that out of one side of the mouth, what he did isn't harassment. Showing up to people's houses, saying that they can, lying about them, saying they committed crimes that they're not even charged with committing, things like that. Out of one side of her mouth, it's totally okay. Totally okay because Aiden did it. Out of the other side of Jess's mouth, she says, totally not okay because Grant said things about her that weren't true in the press box. And, she forgets to tell everyone that Grant did not hit her or strike her. She bumped into him while she was screaming, just like he was. They were both screaming. She picked up that chair and threw it. Okay. She picked up the chair. So, no offense, but you don't think that's a little unhinged? You picked up a chair, you threw it. What? Realistically, we have the video. We've literally slowed it down. She bumps into him. He doesn't hit her. She bumps into him. And then, one is all it takes. No, it takes 3 prongs, sweetie. 3 to get a restraining order and HPO. And I know the other one of the other ones was, that she says that he looked at her boobs in court, which again, what? Number 1. Number 2, not a reason for a restraining order. Number 3, it's totally okay if Aiden does what he does, but if Steve Coates sends food to your house, you're so afraid you need an HPO. Steve Coates has done that exact same thing to not just her, but me, including the messages, okay? To Kate, to Karen from True Crime and Wine, to Kevin, to numerous other people, okay? So she didn't like that, according to her, Grant lied and said things that weren't true about her, so that had to be part of the prong to get a restraining order, and that she bumped into him, but she says, it got physical, okay? But she needed the restraining order on Steve Coates. There was no physical there because he sent food and creepy videos and said things she didn't like. Ding, 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 ding. Aiden's done 10 times worse than that, but you don't think that those people should get a restraining order, only that you should because you're afraid of Steve Coates. Do you know how ridiculously hypocritical all of that just was? And you just basically admitted to using the system because you need 3 prongs legally. And that whole, I know the law now, obviously you don't because you need 3 prongs for a restraining order or an HPO. 3 things. And it can't be words you didn't like. It has to be fighting words, has to be there are specific things it falls into, none of which fall into you throwing a chair and arguing with Grant Smith Ellis at the courthouse. Does not fit, or Steve Coates, sending you food. He did the same thing to me and a bunch of other people, sending a bunch of shit to our house all the time. You're not the only one. Most of us didn't run to the court for an HPO because it was useless. It's really that simple, okay? So the pearl clutching is a little much for me as well, you guys. It is a little much because you can't say out of one side of your mouth that your restraining orders are okay and cool and fine because of the reasons that you're giving, right? Words you don't like. He said things that you thought weren't true about you. He sent things to your house. Aiden showed up at people's houses. He has threatened them with never having peace in their lives. He has incited people over and over and over, and certainly threatened people and said things that weren't true. But you said, saying things that weren't true about somebody is a prong that you needed for court, that you said in court. Do you not see where that's a little bit hypocritical? Am I not the only one? You have to walk into a court and say you're afraid of someone to get one of those. Literally have to walk in and say, I am afraid of these people. So if you're not actually afraid and you're signing it saying you are afraid, that is perjury, my friend. That is perjury. Everybody says thank you to you, Stinky.
What?
Everybody said thank you.
You're welcome.
I said that's so sweet of you. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's just insane, right? I'd have to find it. Julie, you don't have it readily available, do you? The video? We have it somewhere, but I'd literally have to dig for it because it's far back. But I've watched it a billion times, yeah. Oh, I love rainbow sprinkles. She loves cherries. She loves cherries. Love cherries. I love cherries on my ice cream too. Listen, I don't got ice cream monies right now, but if I did, we would do that. Usually after dinner. It's like an after dinner thing. We had like a whole thing of cherries in the house, but someone.
I ate them all. Yeah.
Someone ate them all.
I'm dragging another picture for you.
Okay, so hold on. 1 second, guys. All right, let's play the rest of this real quick. You know, this is why I'm here, though. You know, so if it wasn't for all of you, you know, I am also here to sort of tell you guys how the law works, where to look for certain things, stuff like that. That's my job. That's my job. You know, that is my job as a person on my show to sort of let you guys. So if there are questions about stuff like that that I have the answers to, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. She drew this picture for you guys. But I think, I know, right? Ooh, fried seafood. I can't do the cherry Garcia. I don't know why, but we like just the cherries right on top, a bunch of them. The hypocrisy gets worse. Great. But I'm here for those reasons, you know. I can't give you legal advice, but I absolutely can tell you guys what I have found to be law, and you can look it up. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give legal advice, but I can give you the information, and you guys can, you know, educate yourselves on things like this. He is someone who's been involved in this case for a while. I guess you could say reporting. I mean, again, you can't report on things that you're not finding evidence to and you're just saying. And the problem I think that Grant has sometimes is reporting things as if they're fact when they're not. And that can be harmful. And that's why I don't condone anybody doing it. I don't care who it is, anyone doing it. See, I like mint. Mint's my favorite, but I like mint cookie. Mint cookie is my absolute favorite, or what they call grasshopper pie in some places. All right, let's play the rest of this.
To protect themselves.
Well, there's a no contact order baked into those charges.
Right.
Right. You know, and so I think it would be a little redundant, number one. Number two, I mean, if you were in fear, right? Like, let's say that you go to get that order against Steve Cody. He's a really scary guy. And it gets denied. And by the time that you're leaving the courthouse, Steve Cody is already posting about, ha, 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 I know you tried to get an order and it failed. And, you know, good luck. I mean, what did he say? He said, that was the worst thing you could have done, Jen. Now I know it gets to you. Now I know that you don't like when I go after your children. Time to accelerate. How would you feel if that was directed at you?
If he accelerated is when it would be time to make a move. I mean, you and I both know people come at me all the time.
Do they go to your house? Do they bring strangers to your house? Do they have you photographed on vacation?
I mean, I don't want to dig up some old stuff, but I've been through it. I mean, I have, unfortunately. Yeah, I've had people come to my house.
A fraction of this, and I would suspect that you've probably been through a fraction too.
I mean, I guess my question is, why do you feel the need to be the advocate for this family? You don't know them. You didn't grow up with them.
I didn't grow up with them, but I do know them, and because nobody else.
People.
Everybody else just jumped on it. Even you jumped on it.
Do they want you to do it? Do they want you to do it? Do they want you to be this person to advocate for her? And we should be getting, I mean, do they want you to do this?
They've never expressed, they don't ask me to do it. So it was never a request, right? I started sticking up for these people when I saw what was going on, right? I had never even spoken to them at that point. They didn't ask me to. Now I have friendships with these people, right? And so it's never like, you know, they knew that.
Friendships. Let's talk friendships. My bestie is here. We've gone on vacation together. We eat dinner together. Our daughters are friends. What kind of friendship do you have with Jen McCabe? And I mean friends. Like, I'm sure you have a friend in your life that is not related to Aiden or Karen or anything. Where does Jen McCabe line up in the friend group? Like, what kind of a friend is she to you?
I would say that, you know, it's what do I put it? I consider her more than an acquaintance, but not a close friend. I'll put it that way. I go to her home. My children know her. She knows my children. I've met her children. I know her husband. We socialize. We've been out, you know, we're friends. I don't talk to her every day. I don't confide every last little detail of my life. I don't have that closeness.
Outside of Aiden, outside of Karen and this really bad situation, do you have a friendship with Jen McCabe?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
no
okay.
couch exchanges. Like that
who
is
paid for your couch,
patently false.
Kate?
I paid for my couch, and I'm not ashamed to admit I had to finance it, and I posted that receipt, right? Because that was a purchase that was over $900 altogether, and I couldn't afford that without making payments. That's just the truth, right?
And that is totally fine. I don't feel like you should ever have to explain that kind of thing. But you know, a bunch of people asked me to ask you questions when they heard you were coming on. What kind of financial benefit have you received from being an advocate for any of these people at all? Anything?
None, pretty much. I will say that I have a buy me a coffee. So when I do edited videos, which are often on the subject right now, because that's what I'm interested in, viewers have the option. I could pull it up right now. We're talking maybe $500 here, $200 there. There is absolutely no financial benefit in this for me whatsoever. I still have to work. Like I am not getting
blame you, Jimbo. I think it's
the
almost
VA's
over.
office. That would be insane. First of all, you could look that up, right? Because they have to account for their expenditures. Second of all, I provide nothing of any value to them at all. I have no connection to the Norfolk County DA's office whatsoever. And I don't know what they would be paying me for. Jen McCabe would not pay me for anything. Again, like, they're not asking me to stick up for them. It's not that it's not appreciated.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like everything that you do is valued by these people?
I mean, yes, but that wasn't a prerequisite either, if that makes sense.
Do you ever have moments where you feel like kind of used?
No. Used for what?
For being the spokesperson or being
I'm not the spokesperson. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
My views are my own. And when I get up and speak, I am talking about what I observe, what I know to be true, what I believe, right? These are my opinions and my opinions only. I'm no one's spokesperson. That is a, term that you guys have made pejorative at this point almost, right? To try to shame me for my voice and then shame by them, by extension, when there's no connect there. They're not telling me what to say or asking me what to do it. I did it of my own accord before I even spoke to these people. That doesn't mean that we haven't developed a relationship, which I'm very forthcoming with, because I understand that it lends, I guess, a little bit of bias, but it gives me more insight than you have, or Turtle Boy has, or most of the people that cover this have, because you are
with some of the
covering
we all know
a
this.
case, a story, an event that you don't even know the other half of. You've never even endeavored to try. You don't know these people. I mean, I lived at one point in New Bedford. I lived on Bullard Street. Okay, we're talking, right, extreme poverty. Okay, yep. I have met killers. I have lived next to them. Okay, like, there is no killer in any of these people. It is absurd. And if anyone really had a genuine interest, a genuine curiosity, as I did in the beginning, to look at this from all angles and determine, that would be something that I feel like you would suss out pretty quickly. These are just average, normal people. They are not internet people. They are not murderers. They are not people that asked for this at all. They're not asking for my advocacy. They didn't ask for any of the abuse, right? And my defense of them is just simply because it's morally correct in a situation where not many people would do that, whether it's out of fear, whether it's out of a need for a sense of belonging, whether it's because it's financially incentivized. I can look myself in the mirror every day and know that what I'm doing is not. I don't have any sort of social pressure to take the standpoint that I do. Quite the opposite. I'm not making a lot of, fans and getting a lot of adoration over this. I'm not making any money.
Well,
it's just the right
definitely, we talked about it a little bit. You're definitely comfortable being an adversary. You're definitely comfortable being that odd man. It doesn't bother. Can we back up?
I don't think anybody wants to be an adversary, but right is right, wrong is wrong. I mean, if you want to be an adversary,
ever get to you?
Weird, but I don't.
The effect on my children. But that's really.
What do you mean? Like, how does it affect them?
I mean, the filth that is spouted about them.
Do they see it?
Not so much anymore. My daughter is a girl and she's older, so she's a little bit more plugged into social media. I know that at one point she took it upon herself to try to negotiate the removal of anything about her and her siblings on Turtle Boy, and that was wildly unsuccessful and led to actually the only earnest attempt for a restraining order that I've ever made because I was concerned about the effect on my
I
child.
listened to that hearing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, I'm not a big fan of like showing my weakness when it comes to like being on the other side of these things, because I feel like, people who don't like me win when they see me upset or they see me cry. But if I'm being honest with you, I've had those days and those moments where I'm in a rough place. You know what I mean? Like emotionally, like I'm in a rough place. Like, there's court stuff hanging over my head. I'm worried about jail. I'm
Do
worried.
you think
Like,
it's
do you have
okay
those
for everyone
moments
else?
where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? I don't need to do this. I should stop doing this.
No,
Right is right.
no, I've never
Wrong is
worried
wrong.
about jail. All right. And
You've never worried about what?
I've never
I feel
worried
like
about jail. I'm not.
that
I
can't
know
be
that
right.
that's like a
Everyone
common
would be
refrain.
worried.
I don't.
Chill.
The legal
Crazy
stuff,
deal.
quote unquote, hanging over my head has only ever stressed me out as much as the financial impact of it. And at least with this latest round, I was eventually able to get a bar advocate, which was great because now I don't have to pay for them anymore.
Right.
I trust the system enough. And, again, I don't really discuss open cases. I can discuss closed ones and say that they work out the way that they're supposed to with either a dismissal or I did plead guilty to threatening to commit a crime because there is video of me talking about how I would beat up Aiden Burns.
I have not had a chance to catch up on that. I know that you were in court. So you pled guilty. What happened?
In Leominster. So, I mean,
Yep.
Again, I think honestly, were the shoe on the other foot, people would be more receptive to what's going on here. It's clearly judicial abuse at this point. And what I say is, we have a lot of attempts at charges and police reports. Some of them fail with the police, don't go any further. Some of them fail at the magistrate's level. Some of them sneak in and become a charge.
Wait, how many cases have you had? Like, how many times have you been in court?
Three, but I mean, I know that he's filed, oh God, probably 15 police reports. There were 2 recent cases that got to the clerk magistrate's level. I actually put it in a video because for once the clerk magistrate not only shut them down, but said, I am concerned about how this police department is being manipulated against Miss Peter, me. So
your local police department?
No, this was his. Right.
So hold on a second. Let me
And
ask
the
you a question,
Leominster clerk did say that.
I feel like if we were talking face to face, sitting at a bar, like this would be easier.
Right.
How much do you hate him?
That's a tough question. That's a loaded question. At one point I respected him, right? At one point I believed in what I thought the blog was. I saw the impact that it had on people. I wasn't around, I think, for your blog, but when I hear you talk about it, I know that it affected a lot of people that way.
This happened.
I was
last night. They did
uncomfortable
this last night, this live.
continuing to contribute to that, especially with how random the targets start feeling, right? You're not leveling vitriol at people because they've, I have a rule in my own content, right, which is that I don't like to go after people that aren't making themselves visible. So like, I don't want to troll Facebook and find somebody who has a problem with somebody else and suddenly bring them over to my channel, push them in public and shame them.
So in your opinion, I was running for school committee. So if there was a story written about me, I'm a public figure and that's okay.
No,
I don't really know the specifics on yours. So if you're running for school committee, you have elevated yourself to a point where you're asking for some criticism, right?
Yeah. I agree.
That doesn't mean that it's boundless, though. It can't be. It has to be commiserate, right?
I don't agree.
So like, I like to sort of match the energy of whoever I'm sort of up against here, right? Like, I understand that at some point, if you're hitting a soft target with like a, proverbial nuke, right? You're a piece of shit for that. It's not fair, which is why, like, Steve Cody, I saw all that go on, but the kid is legitimately disabled. I'm not saying, excusing what he does. I don't know him, but you have to understand he was free Karen Reed first. So everything
disabled?
Yes. Did you look
disabled.
at him?
No.
Oh my God. Girl, I could show you videos of this kid playing I mean,
he's clearly
a horrible
disabled
person. It's also kind of funny, but not really, because like he's clearly like, I mean, he's got like, there's something wrong with, like, I wouldn't use the R word to describe him. That's how I feel about
my
him.
first show. Please don't do that.
No, I'm saying like that is I use the R word to describe people who I just believe are stupid, misguided. You know what I mean? I wouldn't use that word for him.
I didn't have talking so much about Steve Cody on my first show bingo card, so let's move on from that. I asked you if you hate Aiden.
It's just a loaded question. I hate what it has become. I don't love him. No. I don't know. I don't love him. I don't like him. I honestly, what I can say is that personally, like throughout the tenure of writing with him, I didn't like him personally at all. I think he, that was part of, I think, the issue.
Were you friends with him?
In my opinion, she's pretending
Like you're saying you're
to
friends
not
with Jen
know that
McCabe
he's
now.
disabled.
No, I never
People
considered
don't
it.
know he's fucking disabled. Come on.
No, I mean, again, it was like it was a weird situation. I thought that I was signing up to write and there was going to be some sort of like, base level professionalism. I had never done this before, the blogging thing. That didn't happen. And so it seeps into like, I would call it a personal relationship, but like, I can admit it. People know at the time I talked a lot of shit about him behind his back. I didn't like him. I would push back on him to his face too. I didn't like, personally, I found him to be an unlikable person. I didn't like, a lot of things, but like, it wasn't hatred. I still thought that like, all right, so like, I wouldn't hang out with this guy, when he calls and I'm with other people that we kind of know in common, everybody's shutting up in the car. Nobody wants him to know that we're together because we don't want to invite him. Like, that's sort of it, but like, not like hatred. I left the blog, and even when I left the blog, it was definitely strong dislike, but not hate is a strong word for me. I put it up there with like evil, and I say this on Yellow Cottage Tales too, so I'm not adjusting for the audience here. I just honestly, like, those big, strong words take a lot for me. I wouldn't say that I don't hate him as a person. I don't really like him, but it's everything that his blog has become, I hate. I've made that distinguishment before, and it's tough to explain, but I hate what this has become, what has been done. I lump everybody in together, honestly. So like, there's free care and read for me, and Aiden is a part of that and might even be the driving part of that, but it all gets swept up into this sort of like gelatinous blob of toxicity that I really, really strongly dislike.
Do you ever like envision yourself at a point in time not thinking or talking about him?
Yeah.
Where is that going to be? When? How far away are we from that?
Probably about 6 months to a year. I think at that point, nobody's going to be talking about him anymore. But I mean, this is
you've had
He'll
me
be in jail
all this time.
Yeah.
I think this has been going like great. It's better than I expected. You want me to think that nobody's going to talk about Aiden in a year?
I would put money on it.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he'll be in jail.
Well,
he'll fade off into obscurity.
I would say that he probably is going to have less room to talk back. I'll put it that way.
Are you saying you think he's going to jail?
I do.
Oh, he is.
So let's do the prediction, because this will be memorialized. You think he's going to go to jail as a result of his charges for the witness intimidation?
Absolutely.
And related, yeah.
How long do you think that's going to be? How long is he going to be away?
I was about to say,
God, I've always said I would say 1 to 3.
He hasn't been charged with yet.
You think he'll be fine if he does?
No.
Why?
Well, he's a weak person. So, I know that he didn't handle jail. But honestly, and like, this is another thing that like, I don't think people realize about me. This is not the only online feud I've ever had. I've had several, and I always kind of approach them in the same. Josh Abrams, Chili DeCastro, Jeffrey Sutton, usually men, usually people that I feel like are victimizing other people or otherwise
tired of fighting people.
No. This is like, I have a lot of emotional baggage.
Aren't you?
Let's be real, right? Like, this is like almost my therapy.
Trauma,
right? Yeah, of course, and it's worked out fine as far as like, I know that, the people that I'm sticking up for, you might not like being on the receiving end of it, or you might, get upset or want to dig into your team, but I'll tell you, when you have nobody else out there, you would want someone like me, because I'm nothing if not a little bit tenacious. But
so who's advocating for you? Like, you're doing this for other people, and you're saying, like, if you,
I've been asked that question before, and the answer is nobody.
Who's advocating
myself.
For you? Who are the people that are?
I don't need someone to. I can do it myself.
I don't need that. I don't want that. Case in point, I got to go to these court dates, right? People, oh my God, I'll go with you. And I always say, no, it's a point of pride to me. I handle my shit on my own. Okay, like, I don't need somebody to advocate
feel
for me.
Better if you had friends with you?
No. Why? For what purpose?
it's hard
Moral
to go
support.
through. Like I've been
No,
it,
it's
and
not. No, it's not. It's a process. You're not going to die.
It's not. It's very hard to go to a courthouse without an attorney, not knowing if you're going to get
Well,
a certain.
I go with an attorney. I go with an attorney, but I don't need a cheering section. I don't need.
I didn't say a cheering section. Different. Cheering section is different. People that you maybe only know through the internet is different. But like Erin was at every one of my court hearings with me. That's my best friend. She was there to talk on the way in, talk on the way out, kind of bump things off. Like, oh, this is how this happens. Like, you don't feel the need to have at least a person with you that can be your person while you're talking. I appreciate that you're a strong-willed, outspoken woman, but you don't feel the need to have someone to be with you through really difficult scenarios. And even if you say it's not difficult, different scenarios other than day-to-day life.
I mean, well, different scenarios. That's different as far as going.
Okay, so you pled guilty the other day. You didn't have anybody with you?
No, I had my lawyer with me, and I went and met up with somebody afterwards to talk about it. Right? Like,
do you have family?
Yeah, I mean, I have a family. Like, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, do you have a mom or a dad?
I do. I have a mom. Yeah, I have parents.
Are you close with her or them?
Extremely. My mother mostly. I'm very, very close to my mother.
What does your mom think of what you do? Does she know what you do?
She does. I mean, some of the stuff, like, I keep it from her. The other day, I was like, "Hey, listen, I just want to let you know that I did plead guilty to something." And she was like, "When did you get charged?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't tell you about this stuff." She knows about like some of the bad, some of the good. You know, my mother was a very outspoken woman herself in her youth. Like, you know, arrests for protesting
really
and things of that. Oh yeah, no, yeah. My mother and I don't really. The only thing that we have a hard time with is politics, because she's like a like very anti-Trump. I'm just anti-government. So like I try not to. But I mean, she's out there protesting now. What's that?
Do you vote?
Yeah, I do. I vote libertarian though.
Did you vote for Trump?
No.
Did you vote for Kamala?
No, I did not.
So
I always vote libertarian. That is, so we got up to 2.5% of the popular vote. I think it was this election. That is my own personal protest, because I do not believe in the two-party system. I think that it is poison to the people.
We could probably have a conversation about that. Go back to me though about.
So yes, I have a mother. I'm close to my mother.
Question.
My mother's opinion of what I do is usually
they're
a lot of
or dying.
respect,
Why
right? She has asked me to take breaks. I usually do when she does. Like, prior to Karen Reed, I was on a kind of a 2-year thing with this other guy, and he sued me. And that, I find the lawsuit, was a bit more stressful the first time around. That's another thing, is you do something once, right? You can desensitize yourself to it. So like, whatever, endurance is a skill. But, she would ask me to take a break, and I take 3-4 months off. And, she does remind me, like, the YouTube channel is not even your not your goal here. It's not your main priority. And it's not, you can see that reflected in sort of the way that I do things now. I have different goals and aspirations, and she really keeps me grounded in that. But like, yeah, I mean, there's my internet life, and then there's my personal life, and I don't let the two converge. And as a result of that,
in your personal life, that you're pretty independent.
I probably less so than I would like to be. I have, I have a lot of people that, definitely are in my corner, through, because the internet stuff is crazy. Right. So like, just practically, I still need to support myself and my children. I still need to have somewhat of a life outside of it. So I have people that, support me in that. And that's the other part of it too, is I try to keep them out of this as best as possible. Like, I couldn't even go on a vacation with Lindsay Gaetani without having our picture taken, which to me, it's like, I look kind of fat. I'm already on the internet. To her, it was like really upsetting. So wait,
let's back up, because you mentioned her. I wasn't going to mention her, but you did. Are you and Lindsay friends?
Yeah.
Same kind of relationship as like what you were saying with Jen McCabe? Like, you're friendly, like you would consider an associate, or like someone you
not associates.
You didn't say that wasn't the word. No, you used something else. You know what I'm trying to say? Acquaintance.
In between an acquaintance, like I said, like I would, like, you know, I have my friends that are very, very close friends that are in there for everything, you know, people that can just drop by my house, right? And I have, you know, a circle of those. And then there's people like Jen or, you know, some other people that I've met, not just through this either, because I tend to like, you know, when you're in here and you're picking up and trying to support people in a tough time in their life, you tend to form a bond that sometimes transcends it. So I've, you know, met people throughout the years that I, you know, are still friends with today, but we're not like, you know, like this, and it's nothing personal. But, you know, Lindsay, I think, you know, I don't see her that often right now. I did go to, you know, try to help her at her court date the other day, mainly just to make sure that she was, you know, left safely without any problems, because this court drama is just getting to be too much, right? Like,
So wait, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a car with Lindsay?
Yeah, what do you mean?
What are you guys talking about in your car? You listen to music? Are you? What are you doing? Like, what are you, the
it
two of
depends.
you?
I mean, we
doing?
talk about our kids a lot. We talk about, you know, we have had backgrounds with some trauma,
What the
you know,
hell?
that has been thrown on the internet. So I'm not saying anything. So, you know, we discuss that, you know, stuff in our personal lives, romantic stuff, like, you know, just the normal stuff that you would with friends. Like, you know, these bonds that are built over this stuff, it's
This is
not
weird questions. Why does it
exclusively
matter?
just
Like,
what's happening out there on the
things I
internet.
probably talked to Lindsay about,
Everyone would go
everything,
insane if that's what it was,
kids,
right? There
what I'm
is,
doing next
these
week,
are
what I'm making
genuine
for
people
dinner.
that are, you know, you know, faceted. They're three-dimensional, right? So it's like, I don't get together with Jen McCabe and Chris Albert, whoever else is around, and you know, we go out for dinner and all we talk about is Turtle Boy. That just doesn't happen,
that's
right?
just
Because
not.
life still goes on. People's kids are going to school. The only
So let me just throw this out there, right? When I just went on my 3-day vacation, okay? Not a very long vacation. And the first day we got there, you know, me and my husband got there first. And then my sister-in-law and her boyfriend got there. And then my friend Kara and her boyfriend got there. So like we kind of, you know, arrived at different times. But Kara is a friend of mine who some of you know, sort of being in this whole Turtle Boy nonsensical bullshit, okay? And so just asking Kate what she talks to Lindsay about is literally the equivalent of asking me what I talk to Lindsay about, or asking me what I talk to Leah Genduso about, or asking me what I talk to Kara about. Me and Kara just spent 3 days on vacation together, okay? And not one time did this subject come up. Not one time. We did not talk about the sewer turtle. We did not talk about these people, this case. You know what we did? Talked about everyday life and the vacation we were on and what we were going to do in the next 3 hours. Are we going to start the fire now? Are we going to start the fire later? Do we have to stop at the store? What do you guys want to have for dinner? What are we throwing on the grill? We did not talk about this, not one time. The thought that like you have to talk about all of this and everything is some grand conspiracy to be friends with people is so absurd. I have had conversations with a lot of you that have just been about everyday life, has nothing to do with any of this at all. And I just spent 3 days on a vacation with someone who's very, you know, in all of this, who gets harassed. Even her poor animals were just threatened. All right. Her goats were just threatened by a maniac online who wants to, you know, again, blame her for accounts that she's not. Same person who tries to blame Julie or Karen for True Crime or me for being these accounts that were not. We didn't spend not 1 second talking about any of that. Not one, not a single second. It's like, what do you talk to your friends about? It's like common sense. Like, do you have friends? Like, yeah, do we braid each other's hair and have pillow fights? I mean, we didn't do any of that. Like, to be fair, though, if anybody does know how to braid, my sister-in-law can't do. If she had been somebody who knew how to braid, I would have made one of them do pigtail braids in my hair, because it's so much lighter and easier when you do the, you know, pigtail French braids. It's so much nicer. But what I'm saying is these are weird questions. Like, what do you talk to Lindsay Gattani about? The same thing I talk to Lindsay about everyday life, the kids, school, you want to get together, you want to, you know, bring the kids to the park, you want to bring the kids to, you know what I mean? Like, it's irrelevant. I know everyone would like to believe, right? As the next question, Kate, have you ever rode a bus? Like, they like to believe that everything is some giant conspiracy, that like everyone's out to get everyone and it's just some ridiculous nonsense. I mean, no, that's just not reality. That's just what you have been fed by the man who's a sewer turtle, you know? I mean, yeah, do you lock your doors? I mean, what's your social security number? I feel like that's the road we're going down right now. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, pretty much you're asking me what it's like to have friends. Do you not have friends? Do you not have friends, Jess? I'm confused here. You know? I mean, I'd be tired of it. I'm already tired of it. I mean, age, I don't think has anything to do with it. I'm tired of the nonsensical bullshit. I don't know how anybody else wouldn't be. You know, we all have lives. It's amazing to me that this is the shit that, you know, I mean, even if you lost your questions, you'd think you'd have better ones than like, what do you talk to Lindsay Yatani about? Yeah, no, that doesn't sound like journalism to me. It sounds like just being nosy, really. You know, I don't get it. Like, yeah, who mows your lawn? Like, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't lend myself to a show like Jess Machado's because there's not going to be any meaningful conversation coming out of it. Just the bottom line. There's no meaningful conversation coming out of any of this. It's going to be hypocritical, defending Aiden, and then out of the other side of your mouth saying that it's not okay for other people besides Aiden to do the exact same behaviors that Aiden is doing, or it's okay for you to get an HPO or an RO. But if Aiden does those behaviors, and even worse, he's just being a journalist who's also an advocate, who's also a satirist, who's also a fucking clown. All right? Come on. Stop it. Yeah, the intentions aren't in good faith. I'm not going to give somebody like that the time of day because it's really just to cause a ruckus. You know what I mean? If I give somebody like that a time of day, I feel like all I'm really giving is clicks and views to somebody that I don't believe is doing things in good faith, and I'm just not doing it. Girl, listen, mine's thinned like 75% ever since I had long haul COVID. So I wish I could say that I have too much hair because I do love my hair, but it's all dead and dying and I need a treatment bad. I mean, it also sounds like it's a crime to be friends with Lindsay. You know, I'm friends with Lindsay. It's a crime to be friends with anybody, I feel like. God forbid you're friends with the wrong person. Everybody harps on the ridiculous train of how could you. Now, listen, I have said this, and most of you know I'm not going to pander. I'm not going to pander to what any of you think. I love all of you dearly, but I am not going to pander to you guys based on what you think. If my opinion is different, I'm going to give it to you that way. And like I said in the beginning of the show, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. If somebody on the Free Karen Read side is being attacked in a way that they have been attacked over here, I'm going to step up and I'm going to say something, as I always have done, because right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't have to believe in the same thing that they do on a case to see that someone being harassed into oblivion is wrong. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And I feel like a lot of people are just missing that. You know what I'm saying? Missing that common courtesy, you know? Like, come on. I mean, they're not very good questions, you know? I mean, all people do is name her, though. She can't just live life without people going on and on about her. It's unfortunate. You know, all she wants to do is just live her life with her kids and be left the hell alone, you know? I don't know. Just leave her alone. That's a good question, Jess. I would love to know. Just leave her alone, you know? Ooh, rosemary oil. I'm gonna have to try that. Well, that's the problem. That's the exact problem. And me and you know that, you know, Julie. I don't know, you know, I wouldn't allow it. But again, some people are like, oh, well, it's engagement, Elise. Like, even if they're saying shitty things about you, it's engagement. And I'm like, fuck the engagement. I refuse to get engagement by doing or saying things that are out of control or that just create clicks and views. I don't want that kind of viewers. I don't want that kind of engagement. So I don't care if blocking them means I don't get the engagement. Then good. Then I'm blocking them. That is not the kind of engagement that I want, right? It's not the kind of community I'm trying to build. So if it takes me twice as long to build my community, so freaking be it then. So be it. Yeah, obviously. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, this is why I don't really, you know, delve into anything that has to do with Lindsay unless I ask her permission usually. Obviously at this conversation, I did not think I was going to have, so I did not, ask permission, but I don't usually talk about anything that has to do with her because it just lends people to just keep talking about her. And I don't think that's fair to her and the kids when she's just trying to live life, to me, just leave her alone. Stop talking about her and leave her alone. It's really that simple. I just don't think anybody could do it. It's it seems like it's a hard task for people. Well, believe me, if you try to get him to stop, Maui, he'll just say you're trying to control what he's talking about and writing, and he'll gaslight you into oblivion. We have all attempted to point out that it's not helpful to her and actually harmful, some of the things that he goes on and on about, and people just assume that she co-signs everything he says, and she doesn't. She's also tried to get him to stop, and you can't. He'll just say whatever he's going to say. So it is what it is, And yeah, I mean, there was a whole nother thing that went on with that. It's a lot of shenanigans, okay, behind the scenes that should have never happened. And it hurt Lindsay in a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different ways. And it's like, if people were really friends, they would, do what needs to be done as a friend to, not do shitty things to one another. It's not hard to not do shitty things to one another. Listen, I've been asking him, and I know Julie, we've all been asking him to stop doing that for I don't even know how long at this point. That is something that I knew a long time ago, but that's a very private thing to keep going on and on and on and on and on about. We all knew that was leaked. Okay. Everything was leaked. Everything. It's not okay that it was leaked. An investigation should be done into how the fuck that happened and why it happened. But to just throw shit out there, that's not helping anybody either. Or talking about it 24/7, that's not going to help her. Well, here's the thing, Maestro. Unfortunately, she stayed silent for 6 months, was trashed into oblivion. And so after 6 months of saying nothing, she's like, well, I said nothing like people told me and it didn't do anything. So maybe I should stick up for myself. And so she starts sticking up for herself, right? And then it's just the same thing. So she's damned if she does and she's damned if she doesn't, right? And we have the same sort of thing going on here with the witnesses. The witnesses said nothing, then they said something, and now people think they should say something again. And I mean, there's an end to that where I do think that something maybe they should hire a PR, professional PR, something like that to help them. But with Lindsay, it's she tried to say nothing and then she tried to say something and it didn't matter which she did. It didn't matter, right? So it's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. If she says nothing, people say, oh, you're saying nothing, so it must be true. If she says something, then they just call her a liar when she's telling the truth. So it's again, it's a double-edged sword. It doesn't freaking matter, Well, that's the other thing. And I think, and again, my advice has always been don't look. Block those people and don't look, because that is exactly what I have done for an extremely long time, which is the people that keep going on and on and on about me and spewing lies and bullshit, I just block them. I literally just block them and I don't even look at it, because if I don't care what they have to say, I know the truth and everybody who knows me knows the truth. So they know it's bullshit. So if I just block them, I don't have to deal with it. It's really that simple. I don't have to deal with it. And it's easier said than done, because for a long time I couldn't just block it, right? Easier said than done. But once you do it, it's whew, don't have to deal with that anymore. Don't care, And that's the thing. People do the best they can. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And I think that's also easier said than done as well, though, especially when people are spreading lies and bullshit. And I don't disagree with that statement, but listen, I'm friends with her and I have always told her the same thing. And I know that this sentence that I'm about to say that I say to her reverberates in her brain sometimes, but I tell her the same thing, which is you do what's best for you and your kids, no one else. I don't care what advice I gave you, someone else gave you. You do what's best for you and those kids and no one else, because it's nobody else's life but yours. So it doesn't fucking matter what this person, this friend or that friend thinks about what your decision is. Your decision is based on what's best for you and the kids, no one else. So be it if they don't like it. Oh, fucking well. It's not their life. It's yours. And I've always told her, anybody who's not telling you that isn't a friend. Just isn't a friend. You should be making the decisions that work best for you, not based on whose opinion or who's going to get upset or who's not going to like the decision you made. You do what's best for you and the kids and screw everyone else. Even me. I can give my opinion as a friend, but all I can do is give my opinion. What she chooses to do with the opinion is up to her. And my opinion is always the same in the end, which is you do what's best for you and the kids. That's it. You know, that's literally it. Yeah, well, they're always probably going to descend on the courthouse, you know? And yeah, it is easier said than done. Always, you know? Yeah, I just immediately block. Even when I see them saying, like, if I see somebody saying some really vile shit about Julie or Leah, I just immediately block them. Because then I don't have to deal with them in the future. If they're already buying into that mob mentality conspiracy, then I don't have to deal with them in the future. You know what I mean? And she does. So it's like, you know what I mean? Fuck who doesn't care about whatever decision you make. You do what's best for you and the kiddos, and that's it. If this person that's friends with you doesn't like the decision you made, screw them. They're not a good friend then, because it shouldn't matter to them what decision you make. It's your life. They don't have to live it. You do. You know? And here's the thing. It's obviously not my decision to make, but most of my friends, and Julie can tell you this, is I will support a friend whatever choice they make, because I'm their friend. That's my job. My job isn't to tell them what to do or how to do it. It's just to support them in their choice. That's it. You know, and if they reach out for help, I will always be here to help. I've never turned anyone away, even when I should. And Julie will tell you that even when I should have cut people off or turned them away, I haven't, and I never will. You know? Yeah, nobody does. Nobody needs or wants that drama. I mean, it's really kind of absurd at this point. All right, let's finish this real quick, see what other ridiculous questions. Again, this is the first time I'm watching it with you guys, all right? Yeah, I'm not there to judge. I'm probably the least judge. And this is what, like, FKR doesn't seem to know. Like, all the bullshit they spew about a lot of us, they don't know us. That's the funny part. So all the shit they say, they don't know who I am. I'm not somebody that holds grudges. I'm somebody that accepts apologies. I'm a person that, you know, will help anyone, no matter who they are. I am non-judgmental. I've been through hell in my own life, so I surely know what it's like for somebody else to go through it. And helping is something that I get, you know, a feeling you'll never get helping someone else. That look on someone's face when you have helped them overcome something difficult, or that thank you they give you, that hug, it means more to me than any amount of dollars. And that's something I did non-paid and continue to do non-paid for 18, almost 19 years now. There is nothing better than helping someone who all they needed was your knowledge, and you help them through something difficult. Or maybe they need to stay at your house for a couple of days and escape domestic violence, like whatever the case may be. I could never say no to someone because I've been there, done that, right? We're not there to judge. We're there to just help, right? And it costs nothing to be a good person. It costs absolutely nothing just to be a good human. Also, speaking of which, I totally forgot. I don't know why this isn't up. But see this little thing right here, this little QR code that we made? Maestro kindly made this for us. So those of you with iPhones that couldn't get your memberships to the show, all you have to do is scan this code now, and it brings you right to buying a membership. So if you have an iPhone, you can put me on the TV, and you can scan the iPhone scan this with your iPhone, and it brings you right to the place where you can buy a membership to the channel. We have a workaround for all of you. So before we get back to these questions, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. I would appreciate that. Most of us would. There's 100 of you over on X. If some of you are watching on X, why don't you guys come over to YouTube? You can join in the live chat instead of just being on X. If you'd like to donate to the channel, we have a bunch of different ways to do so. And again, we only rely on donations from our viewers to keep this channel running. You know, that's how we do it here. And so we have a bunch of different ways: Venmo, Cashapp, PayPal, Revolut. And then in the chat, there is a donation link that is pinned. You can use that for credit or debit. It's also in the description of the video as well. So if you're on the rewatch and you're watching it again, after we're not live anymore, all that information is also in the description of the video. If you're on X and you want to contribute and you want to use credit or debit, all you have to do is click on the link that's in our chat, and you can go back later. It's also in the description of the video, so you can just click on that and click on the link. It's a great way to show the support to the channel. We are still a very small channel, and we're still trying to grow slowly but surely. So let's finish this off and then get into some Adelson stuff, because I don't have all day, but I do want to get us sort of ready for the Adelson case, you know, because that is shortly coming up, and that's going to be a long trial. And it's one of those ones that if you haven't been following, you might want to do a little catch up on to understand why the trial is important, right? It does really feel, it's a feeling you'll never get doing anything else. It's the best feeling in the world just for someone to look at you with that genuine thank you in their eye without even saying it. Like, you know how much that they appreciated you helping them, you know? And yeah, exactly. Lisa's right. It's not that hard to not be an asshole, right? It's not that hard.
Personal thing that I guess I'll share here is, you know, recently my daughter was in Europe for 3 weeks, right? So I discussed that with them a lot because I had some anxiety.
How does your daughter afford to go to Europe? Just asking. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, my daughter couldn't go because they had a school thing. How do you afford to go to Europe?
Oh, she paid for it completely by herself.
How old is she?
I mean, I paid for everything. She's almost 19. So I pay for, like, you know, phone bill and, you know, housing, food, all the stuff that you would do. Like, if she's still somewhat dependent on me, but she does work and then does her
She doesn't go to
classes.
school. She's out of school. She works.
No, she's in school part-time right now. But she works as well. So she just saves her money. And then periodically when she's on break, she just takes these, you know, incredible vacations. And so they've progressively gotten like further, like it started in the States and then it was like a, you know, Caribbean country. And then they went over to Europe. So, I mean, that dominated my conversation. She just got back on the 27th, actually. So, like, you know, from the 10th when they left to the 27th, if you were to be listening in on any of my conversations with Jen McCabe or Chris Albert or Carrie Roberts, those are the people that I'm really closest to. It would be dominated more about, like, where is my daughter? What is she doing? How many pictures did she send? Oh my God, a rickshaw driver just ripped them off in London for $500. And
Nice.
Like, you know, those were the conversations at the time. It's not dominated by this because it would crush them if it was.
Right. You, I guess we talked about restraining orders, HPOs. I don't want to go back to that. I had in my possession all of Lindsay's documents in her whole life.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
You messaging me about publishing, which,
You
by the
lied
way, I never
about
did
shit.
publish.
Like, you lied
only
about
because
stuff.
I was a little concerned about the timing of when I got them, and I didn't want it to be in violation of the
Oh, that's the only
order where
reason.
everything was
Not
sealed.
ethically, because you're wrong.
Do you think that every restraining order that Lindsay has had, which has been documented with all of these guys, has been appropriate?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wait, yes or no?
Oh my God. Listen, those are
Wait, I don't know what you mean by oh my God. Do you mean yes or oh my God, no?
Oh, like, that's just a really off-base question. I'm not Lindsay, number one. Number two, like, I mean, the fuck? These are domestic violence restraining orders with intimate partners.
Yes.
Okay. So, like, you don't know because you weren't there. What I can say from my knowledge as a friend of hers is that I have seen, and like, I don't even want to come off as like, I'm not shitting on the girl, and I'm not, because I'm in no position to, but I've seen the records and the caliber of these men, and it's consistent with other people's complaints about them too, right? Like, this did not come out of anywhere.
She's just picking poor matches.
She's making poor choices in men, clearly. Like, and again, like, that's not really like, I think I kind of want to kill that right there, because it's like, why, like, would you want your personal life discussed like this when no one's here?
Oh, you mean just because? No, it's fine. I mean, you brought her up, and
like,
then
it's just like it's fucked. And you know, people are so shitty that girl. Why? Because she dated Aiden and they broke up. Like, I mean, that's it. Like, nobody would even know who she was if he didn't announce, you know, the whole thing.
Talk to Ken Mello.
Well, she had. Listen,
we want to know who she was.
Someone help me.
Reporting a crime is not a crime. Okay, like, this is the crazy gaslighting that goes on. If you listen to both of their sides of the story, they agree on like 85% of it. They stop short at whether or not there was criminal conduct. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most people that are engaged in criminal conduct, particularly pre-trial, don't want to admit that. Right? Like, you know, that's why you really shouldn't discuss cases at all. But if you do, you're probably not going to be like, yep, I did it. Like, I'm willing to accept the things that I do, but I'm a fucking basket case, honestly. Like, most people, like, it is normal and self-serving and like the proper decision to either not speak about it at all or not accept responsibility. But when you have two people whose story converges in the majority, like, there's probably something there, right? And like, there is no, again, like you have to call it like you call it. I can sit here about Lindsay, my friend, and say like, yeah, she makes terrible choices in men. Like I don't, it's nothing personal against her. I hate that it's even in the public sphere, but I can admit that. You need to be able to reflect on your side too and go like, is it a good idea if somebody contacts you, and I'm talking about the royal you here, this is hypothetical so that we don't play any fuck games later, but you know, if somebody contacts you and says, hey, I have a subpoena and I'm supposed to testify against you, is it a smart idea to go over to their house and convince them not to do it?
No.
Is that a rhetorical question?
It can be, because I'm sure it's not comfortable to answer, but I think we both know the answer.
I 100% think he should have never gone. I think he should have listened to his attorney and not gone.
But he
However,
did.
I don't want to delve too much in this because I agree Lindsay's not here. I'd love to interview
that's
Lindsay,
not
by the
why
way.
you don't want
But
to delve
I
into
think
it.
that
Stop it.
her talking
She
to
can't
Ken
defend
Mello
Aiden.
and that whole situation and everything I know
Her being
is
like, help,
wild.
I'm afraid.
Kate,
Why is that
A
wild?
wild.
crime victim talking to the prosecutor is
Why is
wild
that
to you.
wild?
She was texting him when he was there.
For
help, as far as I understand. For help.
Hey, Peter, if I need help, I'm calling 911 or I'm calling somebody else I know.
He's
I know
the
it's kind of, I'm
prosecutor
not
on the
calling
case.
Ken Mello. What?
And what happens if you call 911?
And they don't do anything, and they tell you to
Okay,
call
She
And
the
it's
state
had him
her
come
police.
voice.
over there.
When the state
She
police
asked
tell
him
you to
to come over
contact
there.
the
Then she's
prosecutor.
texting Ken Mello for
No,
I
help.
no,
have
no.
seen a lot of
No, no.
messages, and I can say honestly that I think that it was a mutual thing.
It was
like,
mutual
you can see the
decision.
back and forth if you
Mutual.
zoom out, because she's been very open about sharing her messages, right? And again, like just like I've had falling outs with Lindsay. I'm not going to, say like, 100% of the time I agree with everything she does. I've been vocal on Twitter when I don't. It's nothing major. I don't think she's a bad person, but she has poor judgment sometimes, as do we all. I'm not exempting myself from that. We'll exempt you, Jess, because I don't really know, but I don't always.
I'm perfect. Go ahead.
Right. I mean, you take souvenirs without paying for them from establishments.
No.
I have a friend who
That's
takes
called
drinking
token.
glasses every time we go out. Like she'll come from New York.
A friend
and she takes
that
drinking
does?
glasses. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah, I'm too scared, but anyway, I don't agree with
The
everything.
violation of your
I don't with
conditions of
Lindsay.
bail.
However, she's been very open with sharing like their communications. I've seen just about all of it, and what you see there
She
is a
had,
toxic relationship.
and her
where there's
local
a
PD
push-pull
told her they
situation.
can't
So
help
he
her. She's
wants
got
to
to
go
call
over
the
there.
state police.
She doesn't really want him to go over, and
The
then
state police
he
connected
talks
her
to
with the
Bradel, and
prosecutor.
Bradel says, no, you shouldn't go over there. Now he doesn't want to go over there. Then he changes her mind, so it's a very push and pull back and forth situation. So
I
to
know.
say that like she invited him, therefore she somehow set him up,
No.
and I can say with a completely
Absurd.
straight face, I had no idea that any of this was going on, because she's talking to me at this point, telling me I don't want anything to do with him, which would be the natural thing to say to me. And I'm not saying that she was lying as much as, vacillating, right? You see that I'm pulling back, and he the same, because I've seen their messages. He did threaten to kill himself if she left him at one point.
Yeah.
That's on video. It did happen, right?
Right.
And like again, like that's their relationship. How much do you delve into it because we're all guilty of this. I've been in toxic relationships too, so like I'm not even, but like it's more nuanced than that. And at the end of the day, regardless of who made the final decision as they're going back and forth about him going to her house, he was not held at gunpoint. He was
I
not
know
held at
that.
gunpoint.
I
But-
know
Did
that.
it on his
But
own.
on the other hand, she's getting a
Come
lot
on.
of pressure saying, I have this intimate information about you and your children, Lindsay, and I've seen these messages.
Yep.
And I'm going to release it. If you don't
If you don't do
this,
X,
if you
Y, and
do
Z.
that, I am going to release that.
Something he's
If
done a million
somebody
times.
did that to me at this point in my life, I would be like, whatever, like, okay. But I can understand why that was horrifying to her. It's a form
Absolutely,
of
it's
pressure.
horrifying
It's
to
a
most
form of
people.
control, right? So like he already
Coercive control, folks.
he had leverage in that situation. She is a poor single mother who has a trauma history and a lot of problems. And again, I'm not saying anything to throw her under the bus. We know this because it's been put out
Wait, did
against
you
her
say
will.
she's a poor single mom?
Yeah.
She's a nurse.
She has a nursing license, which I
She's
believe
not
has probably
practicing
been
right
disrupted
now.
with some of the recent stuff. But she is
She's
a
not
single mother
working.
to 4 children. She does
She
not get child support.
Wait,
She
does
doesn't
she
work
work?
as not as a
I am not
nurse.
going to talk about her
Oh,
financial
you're saying
situation.
she's a poor single mother. I didn't know that. I just assumed she was a nurse and she
No.
like made bank because every nurse in my
well,
life makes
she-
bank.
Her
You
children
assumed
are
wrong.
provided for. I've obviously been, I've been to her home. Like it's clean. It's well furnished. They have food in their fridge.
I
Like
don't want my
you know-
viewers to be disappointed in my lack of knowledge on this. Like I'm not
No,
like offending
I've been,
anybody.
like,
I sincerely,
sorry.
just,
Like,
I knew
you know,
she was a,
She's
can't
a poor
easily
single
afford-
mother.
Like,
She's
not in a
not,
position that
doesn't make
doing
bank.
this, right?
What?
Where, you know, he at least until recently had
Well, your
a, you know,
assumptions are shit.
two-parent household. His wife made consistent money. He made money when he could, where he could. They owned a home. You know, that is not Lindsay's situation, right?
I might lose my ever-loving mind here, okay? Yeah, no, I'm already pissed. Okay, I'm already pissed. So here's the thing, right? For Jess Machado to play stupid here. Oh, I just assumed because she has a nursing license that she's a nurse and makes bank. Jess, I thought you were doing a whole like article on her and you got all her documents and you don't know that she doesn't make bank? I'm sorry, you don't know that she's a single mother of 4 and is low income. I'm going to call bullshit on that, considering that you know that we put up things to help her with attorneys because she's a single mother of 4 who gets no help, no child support, and every penny that she makes goes for those kids. Those kids are well taken care of. She does not make bank. She's not currently working as a nurse. Okay? The fucking gaslighting here and the acting like you don't know. I mean, either you're a real shit journalist, which we already knew, or you're just playing fuck games at this point. All right? You very well know she's low income because we've had numerous things to raise money to get her an attorney, literally saying exactly that. Okay? Literally saying exactly that. So I'm not comfortable in sharing her personal information, but she has 4 young children, and you know, I have a kid with a rare disability. She has kids with disabilities. So it's really, I mean, I don't want to, I obviously don't want to be rude, but it's her personal life is her personal life. But no, she isn't making bank, currently working as a nurse. She is a single mother of 4 beautiful children that she takes care of 24/7. And the only thing that runs her life every day is taking care of those kids. Okay. So for this woman, this Jess Machado, who, oh, you did so much research into Lindsay, that was 100% wrong. You're assuming she magically makes bank? I'm sorry, what? What? Like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. There's no way that she doesn't know that. This is bullshit. I'm sorry. That's gaslighting. It's gaslighting. Like, it's literal gaslighting. Okay. Yeah. Low income. I'm low income. I am barely getting by the skin of my teeth, if that. Okay. Everything is a struggle weekly. All right. She has just as many bills as I do, and she has more children than I do. All right. So what does that tell you? She does not just make bank. The fact that she would even say that and act like she doesn't know that is amazing to me, because I fully believe she knows it, and she's fully just gaslighting Kate into being like, no, she's lower income. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? Absolute bullshit.
She already comes from like like there's a power.
I'm not trying to be rude, but I only want to put, you know, it's somebody's personal life. I wouldn't want my personal life sort of blasted on the internet either. I'm not comfortable with, you know, sharing her personal life, other than she's a single mother of 4 and low income like me. So she's not making bank. She doesn't have money to just throw away or to hire an attorney. Hence why we had the very public fundraisers, which is why I'm not buying what Jess Machado is selling right here. Sorry, not sorry, you know? And that's another thing. God forbid. She had already been, I mean, imagine if you had to take that many days off court cases, or because you were threatened. Death threats. And I mean death threats, because she's gotten a lot of them. Death threats. Texts to your phone from Text Now app numbers, phone calls. Okay? Your children's schools constantly being emailed. Your place where you live is constantly being emailed by a bunch of lunatics who admit that they don't know you, but because they saw it on Turtle Boy, you're a horrible person. All right? All of these things that she's had to deal with a billion times over, you know? I can't. I mean, I don't think Pam meant anything like bad by it. She's just asking. But it just isn't, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want my personal life sort of blast. I'm pretty open with you guys. I'm pretty much of an open book because I have a show, right? Like, I put myself in that sort of position. Not as far as I think that anybody's personal life needs to be sort of explored like that. But I think that she doesn't put herself in that position. She's been put in that position, and that's not really fair to her. You know, the things, and I know personally the things she's been through, because she's a friend of mine, and they're deplorable. Nobody should have to go through the things that she's been through. And, you know, that's right. I mean, nobody would be able to do that. Also, with kids that have certain disabilities, you can't take days off like that. That's just not the way it works. Oh my God, can you imagine having to explain why your job was constantly harassed, or why you have to take a day off of work, not just for your kids' disabilities that may arise, or childcare that may arise, but also because of a lunatic that won't leave you alone and his followers? I couldn't imagine having to explain. I mean, my situation is different because I'm disabled myself, but I don't get things like Social Security beyond belief of other people. I don't get Section 8. I don't get housing. I don't get, mine's market rent. Okay. And I don't get Social Security. So my husband works more than 40 hours a week, and we struggle. It's that simple. I also have people I have to care for, right? I have a child with terminal illness. I have a biological dad who's very sick. Like, I have other responsibilities along with a household and my own littles to take care of at home on top of all of that. And then on top of all that, I have to run a show. So, I mean, everyone's life is different, right? Everyone has different things sort of going on in their lives. And when one of the FKR people say something to me like, oh, get a job, I'm like, I have like 5 full-time jobs. Okay, like 5 full-time jobs. You take care of 2 disabled people or ill people, okay? Take care of your household, take care of your other children. And I also run a show, and I also help people outside of that, right? I do advocacy work, volunteer advocacy work outside of that. This whole get a job thing that they like to throw out there, like, I have a job. I have numerous jobs, number 1. Number 2, this is my job. Why don't you go tell your leader to get a job? He's not even employable. He doesn't have a career, okay? Can't be a teacher ever again. The cult leader can't be a teacher ever again. It's amazing to me the shit that they'll say with such hypocrisy. He's not taking care of anybody who's sick. He's not taking care of little children at home by himself, except on the weekends, right, when he gets visitation. It's like they don't stop and think before they say something wicked, hypocritical. Anybody, and I got a message from someone yesterday that takes care of someone, family member or friend or anything that's sick. It's like 3 full-time jobs in itself. And I got a message from somebody today who is now taking care of a family member, and they were like, I'm just in awe of you, because I'm now taking care of, you know, they were saying how they're now taking care of a family member of theirs, and how difficult it is, how much work it is, and how difficult it is, and that they also have kids. So, you know, doing that with kids and then everything else, it's a lot, you know, and I don't have the benefits of Social Security or housing. We pay market rent. I don't get Social Security. And I have a lot of my own really serious health issues as well, you know? Well, and it's not meant for other people to know, really, you know? I only mention it because I want people to know that they can reach out if there's something that they need. You know, because you're a close friend of mine, but I only mention it because it's one of the things that I do on a daily basis. And I do want people to know that if there's somebody that they need, that someone needs help, that I'll always help, no matter who it is, you know? All right, let's finish this, because I know that this is probably going to enrage me, because I can already see where this is going. And again, you come after my friend, and it's like you're coming after a family member of mine. I will make that very clear, you know? JMS, it does make me think of her. I'd probably try to reach out, I think, on, I don't know her Discord name, though. It does make me
imbalance in that relationship right off the rip.
I mean,
in a million
listen,
different
I've dated rich men and poor men, and there's no, I don't know why we're getting into the semantics of his money, and his money or what he has doesn't give him any leverage over her. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. You've been a single mom or whatever. Like, I've been a single mom at one point in my life.
Not with 4 kids.
Doesn't stop you from achieving success or going in making money or providing for, like, the disparity here in income means nothing to me. You said poor single mother. I actually would have never.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Because like her saying that being a single mother means nothing, it doesn't stop you from anything, that's bullshit. Okay? It's anywhere between 30 and 50 grand a year for one kid for childcare. One fucking kid. One. Yeah, it might not mean anything to Jess Machado. She might have a mother or a father or a sister or a brother who can watch her kids for free for her, or even drop them off and pick them up at daycare. Not everyone has that, and everyone just fucking assumes. And it's disgusting. It is disgusting. I do not have that opportunity, and neither does Lindsay. I do not have a family member that they can just watch my kids while I, work a 9 to 5 or, whatever. I don't have that option. I also don't have 30 to 50 grand in childcare for one kid. Never mind 4. Okay? Never mind 4. Never mind any with disabilities on top of that to boot, right? I don't even have a car, right? That's a benefit most other people have that I don't even have right now. And it's really hard to not have a car with all the stuff that I have to do because it costs a lot in transportation that I don't have, right? So to sit there and say that being a single mother doesn't stop you from anything, well, it might not if you had one kid. Maybe that's doable with a family. But if you do not have people that you can be like, hey, can you help me, please? There's a reason why it says it takes a village, because it does. If you don't have a friend or a family member that can come and help you out, pick your kid up, watch your kid for a lower cost or for free, things are not feasible. She's one person with 4 small children, of which some have disabilities. So where exactly is she getting 70 grand a year to pay for the child care necessary to cover the hours she needs to cover, and also with children that have disabilities? You're fucking not. It's common sense. I can't even believe this is a topic. There's a big difference between wondering why we're going through what he has and what she has, because his resources are he could pay for a nanny if he wanted. Makes it much easier, doesn't it? If you can just pay for a nanny. Or you can pay for the best childcare you can get. I mean, that makes a difference, right? Money makes a difference. So if he has all this money to be able to pay for a nanny or pay someone to do X, Y, or Z, and she doesn't, that absolutely makes a fucking difference. He has family. And didn't his sister used to take his kids off the bus for him? She doesn't have that option. There is no one to go and take your kids off the bus for her every day. Maybe once in a while, one of us can if it's planned ahead of time, but not in a pinch, not every day. That's not an option. Right? So to sit there and act like being a single mother doesn't stop you, or money doesn't stop you from being able to do certain things, is just a bull-faced fucking lie. You can't pay for what you don't have the money to pay for. If you can't pay for your kids, some of them are which not old enough to go to school, okay? They're in daycare, that she's already paying for. If you don't have the money to put 4 of them in childcare, who's watching them? If you have no family to watch them, who's fucking watching them? Who's watching them? Jess, who's watching them? Who? So to act like that's not stopping anyone, I mean, that's fucking absurd. That is just not only not realistic, but absolutely disgusting to act like the disparity in what he has versus what she has is ridiculous. Exactly, Pam. Exactly. Believe me, I have one. And she's not young anymore. Like, she's not a toddler. She's not, middle school age anymore. She's older. But I had a child that has G-tubes, actual medical devices. You can't just be like, here, child care that doesn't know how to use my child's medical devices, or even certain medications for kids that have epilepsy. My nephew has refractory, which is like med resistant, and he has a certain medication that they will not distribute. They will not give. Nope. They will not give it unless you're a nurse, or they will not give that medication. Midazolam. Good luck trying to get them to give midazolam. Okay? So I don't even know. I mean, clearly she doesn't have any kids with disabilities. Never mind understanding that if you don't have a family that can help you, which I know what it's like, everybody just assumes that you have somebody that can watch your kid. Don't you have somebody who can watch your kid? Maybe once in a while my sister might be able to do it. But my sister's got 2 kids. Is pregnant with her 3rd, and might have MS right now. So no, I don't just have someone I can call and be like, hey, Ghostbusters, I need someone to watch my kids, please. No. You know exactly what I mean, Scorpio. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so absurd to say something as ridiculous as that didn't stop anyone. Being a single mother, that doesn't stop anyone. Having different resources and who has money and who doesn't stop anyone. Absolutely fucking does, dude. You gonna give 80 grand or more a year in childcare for her? Are ya? Because who's watching the fucking kids then? Who's watching the kids? Everyone just assumes there's someone, right? No, there fucking isn't. It makes it 10 times harder when you don't have family alive or available to be able to help you with that. Exactly, Pam. Exactly. People don't even realize. People do not even realize. This one specifically is called midazolam, and it used to be given down there on your behind. And now they've actually come out with a version of it that is nasal, but even that schools will not give. They will not give the midazolam, depending on the school. Public school will not give it. And we had a huge issue with it with my nephew. Yeah, exactly. Not everybody has an Auntie Jessie. I wish, right? I wish. But there are a lot of different medications for epilepsy. If you want to message me, Brooklyn, I'd be happy to give you. My sister also is an epileptic. My younger sister is an epileptic. She has what's called AP deletion and comes with seizures. And my nephew is med-resistant epilepsy. And I'll tell you that CBD, actually, they write him a prescription. He's a minor. He's 17, but they give him a prescription for CBD. And that actually has helped his seizures. I literally kid you not. He hasn't had one. He used to have them multiple times a month, sometimes multiple times a week. He hasn't had one in almost a year now with the CBD on top of the regular med. But I mean, I'd be happy to, tell you all the other things that I know about it. If you want to email me, it's twistedtragedies3, not twisted tragedy, but tragedies3@gmail. That's the thing. If you don't have siblings or parents to come help you, who's helping you? And exactly, not every caretaker can give your kid their meds. Not every daycare or child care place is allowed to give certain meds. So that leaves, you can either hire somebody who has the medical credentials, which almost no one can afford to pay for, or you stay home with your kid. Those are your options. Listen, anyone calls me for help, doesn't even have to be my siblings, and I'm on my way. I will figure it. I'll get a ride. I'll pay somebody to bring me. I will figure it out if someone needs me. I always do. If it's an emergency, I'll be there. I don't have that same, thing. I don't have someone I can call and be like, it's an emergency. I need to come to me right now. Not everybody has that. So it's amazing to me that anyone on planet Earth is still this ignorant. It enrages me.
Described her as that. I thought she was a nurse with 4 kids. I did not know that she was poor. I didn't know that she didn't have money. I mean, if I'm basing it on how she dresses,
I mean,
maybe,
being a nurse
I
with
didn't know
4
she was
kids
poor.
is not like, I mean, what do you think that looks like?
No shit.
You said she's a poor single mother, and I actually I did not expect that. That's all I'm saying. I thought she was a nurse.
Oh, but you did
I
journalism.
Okay, but
right?
you keep saying like that, like it's mutually exclusive. I'm just curious why.
What?
That being a nurse means you're rich.
She either is a nurse or a poor single mother, and you can't be both. I mean,
Well, if you're working as a nurse,
she's got 4 kids and no child support. I don't know. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna discuss this woman's finances.
I guess I'm just basing it
Right.
on people who I know who are nurses, and they do very, very well for themselves.
That's good for them.
They could work tons of hours. They're there for them, but I know nurses that make great money. Maybe I'm not paying attention enough to her. Maybe she can't work because of the kids. I don't know. But
I'm not saying she's not working. I never once said that.
Oh,
Again, I don't
To
poverty
make
is
those
not
assumptions is fucking absurd.
Would she be okay with you calling her a poor single mom?
I'll find out because I'm sure
serious?
she's watching. She supports me in this
Low
stuff, but
income.
I think that
And I'm low income.
That's very good friends, Kate.
I'm sorry. Is it a problem to be low income nowadays? Should we all be ashamed to be low income? I just want to know, is that like a thing now? Is God forbid anybody is low income because all of their money goes to paying their bills? Is that now a problem? I'm just wondering, because the way that she speaks as if God forbid anyone, right, be low income, because that's like a poo-poo. I'm sorry, unless I win the lottery, I'm low income because all of my money goes to paying my bills. So after my rent and my gas and my electric and the internet and my cell phone and food in the house, okay, that me and my husband split, there's nothing left. Transportation, money, clothes I have to buy my kid because she grows like a weed, anything that's school related, right? There's nothing left. There's just nothing left. So should I be ashamed that I pay my bills and take care of my kids? And I have expenses because I help take care of sick family members? I'm confused. I mean, is that like something everyone should be ashamed of now? I mean, I try to pick up extra dollars by having a show and doing something that I love that fits into my schedule of being able to stream when I need to, or when I can't, I don't, right? I was just sick for 2 days. So obviously you guys didn't see me Friday because I was sick in bed. You know what I'm saying? Is like being a caretaker and working class and being poor supposed to be something that we're all ashamed of now all of a sudden? Because I mean, if you're not just Machado or the sewer turtle, we should all be ashamed of paying our bills and then having nothing left over. I mean, that's like 80% of America right now. Newsflash, just Machado, that's 80% of America is people don't have $400 in their savings account for an emergency. I don't have anything in a savings account for an emergency because there's nothing left. Nothing is left. Okay? Nothing. So I love how somehow, some way this is supposed to be, you're supposed to be ashamed. I'm sorry, what? What now? Lacherimagene? I mean, look. Lacherimagene? Keppra. My nephew was on Keppra. So I'd say stay with the Keppra if it works for you. It's person by person, but he was on the Keppra last I knew, which was a couple months ago, was on the Keppra and CBD. So they actually gave him a prescription for CBD, and that with the Keppra, midazolam is just for emergencies. Like if he has a seizure, you give the midazolam. Yeah, it will put you in some serious debt, you know? Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of money to put, you know, someone, and to be fair, my biological dad will not lay in a hospital to die. He would rather be right there where he lives in his apartment than in a hospital, and I can't force him. Can't force him to do something he doesn't want to do. So therefore that leaves it up to us to just take care of him where he is, you know, help him out where he is. That's all we can do. And that's not easy for us because he doesn't live around the corner from me and I don't drive. He lives about 35 minutes away. So that's a hefty amount to go back and forth via Uber or paying someone or whatever, you know, not cheap, right? I mean, they do have new treatments. I think the CBD works really well. The transportation is absurd, you know, and you should be. Working class does not make you any less than. And I think, and that's the other thing. She's acting like she makes like all this, but like it would be nice to just live off your husband, wouldn't it? I mean, I guess apparently that's a flex now. Living off your husband or ex-husband is apparently now like this big flex. Yeah, it's not. Just FYI, it's not this huge flex. Sorry. I am proud of the things that I do and the care that I give to the people that I love. And I am proud of the community I built here. And this is my extra income. Anything that comes from the show, I have to pay for what it takes to run the show. And then after I pay for anything that it takes to run the show, then I might make a couple bucks after that. And that is my extra income if it comes to that per month, right? Nobody should be, you know, and that's the other thing, 300,000, at least in my state, in the state of Massachusetts, you're still needing food pantries at 150K a year here. So 300K, you're just making it in my state. Also, Massachusetts being the most expensive state to live in the country. Just FYI. There's only one state that's ahead of us, and in the list that they just did, they didn't consider it because Hawaii is an island. So outside of Hawaii, because it's an island and things have to go on boat and on plane, in and out, Massachusetts, then California, then New York. I mean, that's insane for how small our state is. I don't know. She's married, I think, but still, She's acting like we can all afford to be like, hey, husband, can you give me $100,000 so I can like run my own studio so that I seem like I'm better than everyone else, and then act like I don't know what lower income or middle class working or lower class working people are like, because they're gross, right? Because that's what we're acting like right now, that lower class working people who pay all their bills and take care of their children should somehow be ashamed of that. I'm sorry, what? No. No, absolutely not. That's not a thing.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm being facetious.
It's not a character
made it this
indictment at
far.
all.
It's 12:30. It's 12:40. We can't let this go downhill. I don't want to keep you too long because
Yeah,
Saturdays are like awesome, and we don't want to waste our time. Let's do
We already
something.
wasted our
Let's talk
time
offline about maybe
with
coming
this.
back and having a different
please don't.
conversation about more
Please
specific things. It's up to you. We'll talk later. Last thing I'll ask you is, what is the number one misconception about you that the internet or everybody who follows you and what you've done has? What is the number one thing that you think people got wrong, and what would you say is the right thing? Aside from your couch.
That's it. And the Cash App payments from Morrissey. Now that I'm motivated by hatred for Turtle Boy, that's, again, you really have to look at it objectively. There have been many years between me leaving that blog and this Karen Reed situation. So, if you're a free Karen Reed person out there, you can rest assured that I am motivated by my hatred of you. Not you, royally you again, but I mean, and what is being done more than any one individual person. So that's it. And on that note, actually, it is like I've been in my car, in my driveway, and my kids are inside. So. But thank you for having me.
Being a good sport, Kate. I appreciate you.
No problem. All right, bye.
Bye.
Please tell me this is over, because I can't stand another second of this.
Oh, wow. All right, let's stand by. We're
I literally cannot.
Fix this thing. Can you fix me? All right, I think we're good. Can we remove Kate?
Does she not know how to run her own show? I'm totally confused here. Does she not know how to run StreamYard herself? She has to have somebody else do it?
How'd that go, everybody?
Oh, wow.
Just take this and lean back. How was that? Where are we at?
Why
Erin,
are you picking up
some
a
details.
Oh, I can't. Hold on, guys.
Erin wanted me to keep going because we were close to 10,000 people watching. That's crazy.
Hold on.
Somebody drop comments so I can read them before it's 1:15. I've got to let you all go. We can't be on air for this long. This is stupid time. This is dumb time. 3 hours and 41 minutes.
So, is that a problem?
Let's see. Someone is saying she is delusional.
Or are you guys the ones who are delusional?
Can someone find Lindsay a job? Are you?
That's funny to you?
My thing is.
I'm sorry. That's funny.
Number one, I'm surprised at how well that actually went.
Interesting to me.
I'm surprised how well that went. She's easy to talk to. I will say, just for full transparency, I held back tremendously, just so we're clear. I didn't ask any of the real provoking questions that I know we're probably going to
I don't know what I got yeeted. I just can't believe this is like a real.
Let me, so, the show thing, Todd Costa, who was in the comments, when I first met Todd,
Nobody cares about Todd.
okay, can I go now?
Is that real life? These are people who are actually sponsoring her. Like this is real life. Like these are sponsors of her show right now. Should all be ashamed of themselves. I'm just saying that was not only insufferable. Yeah, I got yeeted. I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell actually just went on there, to be honest with you, because what really gets me, okay, is right after she's saying something like, I don't agree with Kate on restraining orders. You don't agree with Kate on restraining orders, and you don't think Lindsay's restraining orders were necessary? This is how you know the ones before Aiden were necessary. And also, just FYI, a judge disagreed with you. Just saying, is because the men she had restraining orders on were all domestic violence restraining orders. And other women have gotten restraining orders on the same men. So Lindsay was not the only one in life that got restraining orders on these men, okay? Shocker, I know. Isn't it a shocker that when domestic violence is involved, that they don't just stop being, and they also don't tell you they're abusers right away, just kind of how it works. And clearly you know nothing about domestic violence if you don't know that domestic violence happens to be a circle sometimes where, you know, you might not be with one domestic violence partner where it might, you know, translate into 2 or 3 because of the trauma and not seeing the signs of someone right away. And again, they don't tell you, it's not written on their forehead that they're, you know, domestic abusers. So, but it's sad that you're looking for that sort of cult pat on the back, you know? I mean, I just can't. Like, I just literally can't, you know? Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. It just doesn't make any sense to me, you know? Oh yeah, the abusers are the gaslighters. Absolutely, 100% they do it, 100%. And so to me, it's like, if you don't know anything about domestic violence, then please don't talk about it. And it's very clear to me that Jess Machado doesn't know shit about domestic violence, or you would know that it's a pattern. It's something that a lot of women, unfortunately, deal with more than once when it comes to abusers. Yeah, you just read. I mean, I've seen the injuries. You have too, I think, right, Julie? Have you seen them? I have. Okay. I've literally seen the injuries and the video of said abuser. So, yes, they were necessary. She was given court documents. She didn't get court documents. She was given them by people who wanted to disparage Lindsay, which she pretty much admits to. And then kept saying, I'm going to post these, I'm going to post these, I'm going to post these. Writes these ridiculous, quote, stories about Lindsay that are filled with misinformation and not truth, I'll tell you that much. And then sits there and says that she does truth-based journalism. False. That's false. Also admitting outside of the Karen Read stuff. So that means you didn't do truth-based journalism when it comes to the Karen Read stuff. Interesting. It's wicked abusive. It's also coercive control, which is one of the Stuart Tuttle's main things is coercive control. He has literally done the same thing to every person. I would not be surprised if he did it to Meredith. The blackmailing, the threatening them to stay quiet or else, or he'll do this, this, and this to them. No innocent person needs to do that. Let's just throw that out there. Does anybody know of innocent people that need to blackmail people or threaten them behind closed doors? Pretty sure nobody who's innocent needs to do that. Just FYI. Just FYI, you know? Anybody who blames the victim has serious issues. To try to claim that because she had more than one restraining order and more than one man, that magically all of a sudden that means that they're not all valid is absurd. That is absurd. I had one restraining order on my abuser from when I was younger, and sadly had to get a second on someone else years and years later. Years and years later. Now, if that had translated into a third man. And to be fair, it could have. I just didn't go get a restraining order on that third person years after that. I just decided a piece of paper has never stopped them before, so I'm not going to even bother this time. But when you're someone who's been in domestic violence, yeah, unfortunately, domestic abusers don't write on their forehead that they're domestic abusers, and they do not seem like domestic abusers when you meet them and you start dating them. And that comes out later, right? Later. There's no way to know ahead of time most of the time. And so when you sit there and blame a victim because you have bought into some grand conspiracy about how she's bad because, well, the sewer turtle tells you how she's bad, why don't you go back to the story that he wrote about you, Jess? And all the things that you said were a lie about the story that he wrote about you, and how you thought because he didn't reach out to you and he didn't talk to you, that it could have been cleared up. And I'm just going to remind you that anybody who has tried to reach out to him to clear anything up, he has refused to change, even with evidence. So no, he still would have posted it, not caring whether it was true or not. And he did the same thing to Lindsay. Do you think that you're a one-off? That you're the only story that he's lied about? You can't possibly believe that. Come on. Stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it. You know, come on. By Brian Walsh. What do you mean, Brian Walsh? Brian Walsh has nothing to do with Sandra Birchmore, so I'm totally confused. That doesn't really make sense. That doesn't make sense. Also, he chopped up his wife. Allegedly, in my opinion, he absolutely killed his wife and chopped her up and threw her remains away. So I'm not really understanding what Anna Walsh has to do with Brian Walsh and what we're talking about now, because Brian Walsh chopped up his wife and clearly was an abuser of sorts. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have killed his wife. You know, I did, and I was disgusted with that verdict as well. But again, when you hide things, they hid things from the jury about the honor killing, and it's unfortunate that they weren't allowed to know about the arranged marriage, because that gives them context. You know, it gives them context into that, the whole not guilty thing, except for, you know, the domestic assault was, I mean, I don't know what's going on in our justice system. It's really, at this point, I honestly hope for better days in all of it, because it seems to me as if something is in. Yeah, they did from the jury. Yep. Yeah, I mean, at first it was the fake Picassos, right? That was the first thing with him, and I think she was hoping that he would go to jail, and that would kind of solve her problem. Anna Walsh, you know, if Brian Walsh was in jail, then she wouldn't have to deal with his abuse anymore. She could get a divorce and she could move on while he was in jail. Therefore, he could not hurt her because he would be high, you know, he would be locked up. So her not taking action before that, again, a lot of abuse victims, including myself, live years dealing with that abuse without stepping forward. Some people never do. And then some people do right away. It's different for everyone. Okay. I was very young when it happened to me. And so it took two or 3 years before I ever called the cops for the first time. It's unfortunate, you know, it's very unfortunate. Sorry, I'm fixing the buffering here. I don't even know what to make out of that entire interview, because there's a bunch of questions that literally have nothing to do with anything. And then also a bunch of things that realistically, in my opinion, we just played hypocritical bullshit with. That's what really just happened. There was a lot of hypocritical, so it's okay to get an HPO or an RO against Steve Cope because you didn't like the words that he said and he sent deliveries to your house, but it's not okay for people to get them on in for having him drag people by your house and accuse you of being a murderer and do all those same things, because that's not harassment. But sending food deliveries to your house and saying things you don't like online about you, things that aren't true, that counts for an RO or HBO for you, but it doesn't count for anyone else. I mean, imagine actually saying that with a straight face, because that's what just happened. Okay. Yeah, you get stuck. Well, also you're afraid, right? They will literally threaten to off your entire family if you leave. And so there's a strategic way to get out of a relationship right like that. And that's part of what Lindsay was trying to do. She recognized it quickly, thankfully, with Aiden, and was trying to sort of get herself out of that relationship, you know, and that happens in steps. We don't just run out the door. There are different ways to like separate yourself and try to come up with a plan to leave safely. And that's in the middle of what she was doing. So to be like, oh, because she talked to Ken Mello. Well, let me just ask you, if your local PD, you call them, right? And they say, hey, anything that has to do with that guy, you got to call the state police. We're not handling anything like that anymore. Anything that has to do with him, you know, you got to call the state police. And when the state police tell you, like, this is the special prosecutor dealing with this, these are the people who are going to help you, these state police officers and this prosecutor, then yes, you could, if you're not familiar with this whole scenario other than a restraining order, right, then you're going to call the person's number that you have for help. Hey, help. Do you know how many people have called me instead of the cops for help when it comes to domestic violence? I had a friend who was locked herself in the bathroom with her kids. So I'll be there in 10 minutes. I got there. He was still there. I came in and I said, the cops are on their way. You might want to leave. And he bolted right out the door. That's all it took to get him to leave. But before that, he was punching holes in that door to get through to her and the kids. There are plenty of people who call other people before they call the police. And in that scenario, there are a lot of investigations going on. He was very well known for the things that he does to people. And so it is not weird for her to be texting and saying, he's at my house, threatening me. What do I do? Help. When those text messages actually hit the court, they're going to show she's asking for help. I don't know how that's weird to anyone. What do I do? Help me. So they called the police for her because she couldn't use a phone. She was locked in the bathroom and she could only text because she said she was using the bathroom. So the only person she could text was the number that she had to text. Every other person you have to call. So she texted, they called the police. I mean, it's not really that difficult to realize what happened there, but just spin it into something that, oh, it's so weird. No, it's weird because you want it to be weird. It's not weird for the scenario it was in at all. Also, not the first time that he has threatened someone or blackmailed them to their faces. It's not the first, won't be the last. And I will agree with Kate on one thing, 85% of the story they both agree on. So why are we even arguing that didn't happen, to try to argue that there's some sort of setup? Nobody made him go there. He went there. Nobody set him up to go there. She got a subpoena and asked, should I tell him I have this? Should I not? She thought it would be better to just tell him that he wouldn't lose his ever-loving mind. She was wrong, obviously. But come on, man. You know? Come on. Yes, absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. And I love that about you, Jack. I wish more men understood it like you do, you know? I don't know. That's a good question about Wendy. Now, yeah, some people have, you know, and they would come back. They don't care about a piece of paper or a restraining order, you know? No, they were not on the line when she was in the conference room. She literally said she had to use the bathroom. She went to the bathroom and texted. We're not in the line while she was in the conference room. That's such a lie. I wonder what these people are going to do when they figure out they've been fed all these lies. When the actual pieces of evidence come out in trial, and that you know card, that house of cards they built so tall, what happens? What happens when it falls down? Anyone? McFly? I don't know. What I can say is this: I wouldn't have wasted my time doing that interview, because to me, what did that do, really? You can tell them they're wrong about a million things. They don't listen. It goes in one ear and out the other. It really doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense to even bother to do it. No offense, but I also wouldn't give Jess Machado 5 minutes of my time simply because she made the same exact mistake that she bitched and whined that Aiden made when it came to the story on her, which was she never attempted to reach out to Lindsay. Not once, not ever. You got all her documents, you got all her paperwork, you say, but the excuse way back then was I didn't have her number. Well, her number is listed on all the paperwork you say you have. So you didn't think you were going to maybe reach out to the person that you were kept saying you're going to do this story on? No, maybe get their side of said story. No, you only take the paperwork from the person that's only trying to hurt them and silence them because of their own wrongdoing. That seems totally normal, right? Don't bother to reach out to the woman. Ask her any questions. Then by that time, people are like, you don't have a number. It's literally listed in the paperwork. Then you reach out. And it's like, by that time, you have already lied about her, smeared her, and said shit that wasn't true. And now you want to reach out after everybody else is calling you out? I wouldn't want anything to do with you either at that point. Why would I? You didn't bother to reach out like a journalist would before the story is printed or before you start saying things that aren't true. You wait until people call you out on it, and then you do. At that point, who the fuck's going to want to talk to you? I wouldn't. You're already spreading misinformation and lies about me. Why the hell would I talk to you? It's very clear that you're biased in this, and that you're just trying to help an abuser. Why the fuck would anybody want to talk to you at that point? I mean, really, honestly, it's just really about, like, I want to know. Give me answers. Like, no. No. I don't think the hired killers set him up. He hired killers. I don't think it's that, hard to realize what happened with this. So realistically, right? Hold on, let me get this thing up here. The Adelson family, they have a lot to account for now. Now, this is a said family, all right? This is the Adelson family. All right, now, Wendy is apparently going to be testifying in her mother's trial, all right? She was a former teacher, and her husband, Harvey, was a dentist, and, they had 3 kids, right? The guy that Wendy was married to was a law professor, okay? Dan Markle was a law professor, right? And they were getting a divorce, whatever, they had a kid together. So Charlie, he's already had his trial, the brother. He was 47, so he's probably 49, 50 years old now. He already had his trial and was found guilty, so he's behind bars right now. And so Donna has got to be 75, 76-ish years old. So Donna is charged with first-degree murder and solicitation of murder. Charlie obviously was already put behind bars for that. So she tried to leave the country, basically. So it was November 13th at Miami International Airport, and they were going one way to Vietnam. And that's when they arrested her. They have no extradition treaty with the United States. Shocker that she would be magically going to Vietnam. And that was just a week after they had convicted her son of hiring 2 hitmen from Miami to kill Dan Markle over the custody of Wendy and Dan's 2 kids, right? So this is Charlie right here in the middle. I don't know if you guys can see. Hold on. Let me see. Why isn't it scrolling on your end? Scrolling on my end, but not your end. Why? Hold on. Let me figure out what's going on here. All right, so this is Charlie right there in the middle there, okay? Get that off my screen. All right, so this is Charlie, right? It's Charlie's girlfriend next to him on the right there. All right, and then Sigfred Garcia. Now, he's got kids with Charlie's girlfriend and Luis Rivera. So both of them, these 2 guys here, all the way to the right, are the hired hitmen, okay? On the left of Charlie is Donna, her husband Harvey, their daughter Wendy, and her ex-husband, the victim, Dan Markle, right? So I don't really understand. So we're talking a whole family affair here, right? So mother, Donna, son, Charlie, decide that they're going to come up with this sloppily planned killing because the kids and Wendy would stay with Donna, and like that's what she wanted, right? And we're talking about a family that has some money. They're not poor. They had any lack of resources by any means, right? And so it seems to me, and we've seen this over and over again, where these families that have money, right, or means that other people don't have, these cases are dealt with in a different way, right? Oftentimes we see them get away with literal murder. No, I'm not saying that the father knew anything about it. That remains to be seen about even if Wendy did. And I think there's a lot of speculation that she did, but sorry, we were buffering. I haven't seen any concrete evidence that even Wendy knew. Of course, again, speculation is that she knew, but if he didn't know, right, the husband, then how would she have known? Again, he did kind of come across as hapless, right? A little bit. I think, again, she would have got a lot of that from her mom, right? Like, again, that's the upbringing, I mean, they make very good money. They were not poor. They were not a poor family. Is this the recording of when they were like gonna fly to Vietnam, like then, or are you talking about before that? I think, here's the thing. He hasn't been charged, and neither has Wendy. There is some speculation that maybe Wendy isn't charged yet, that they want her for Donna's case, or that she has a deal. There's a real possibility that she could have an immunity deal to testify against numerous people in her own family. Or the other possibility is she actually didn't know, and they ruled out that she knew. We don't know, right? We don't have all the files of all of that. The police do, right? Right, circumstantial evidence at best. I think it could be limited immunity, but again, usually with any immunity deal, if you get caught lying, you can lose that deal. But it might be strategic where they decide that they're not going to pull the deal until after they've testified. You want them to do what you made the deal for them to do, so you have them testify first, then you can pull the limited immunity deal or immunity deal and say, listen, you got this deal based on the fact that you would not lie. And then you went on to lie. So we're not going to give you this deal anymore, and now we are going to charge you. And when you sign a deal like that, anything that you help them with, anything you tell them about that you're getting the immunity on, they can then use against you in your case. If you lie and they find out that you lied, they can use all that against you. Even though you technically had an immunity deal, it's usually written in that if you lie, all of that can be used against you, and you will lose the deal and you can be prosecuted. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after Donna's trial. Does anybody else get indicted? Does anybody else get charged? Or do they end it with Donna, right? That'll be really interesting to find out, I mean, to be fair, right? I'm sure that more than one person has moaned and groaned about their exes to their, friends, family, loved ones, whatever. It's usually how people end up picking one side or the other when people break up is, one side's complaining about it and they give one side of the story. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think like, someone moaning or groaning about their ex, rises to the level of, the family took it upon themselves to then try to kill the guy, rises to the level of them having any culpability in that just because they complained, But I don't know, So Maestro said, Harvey used checks from the same book they were paying Katie. She never actually worked for them. No way he saw all that money going to someone he'd never heard of. The only thing I can say about that is, just to be devil's advocate here, is they had a lot of money. So realistically, as long as it's keeping the wife happy, does he really give a shit about what the wife's spending on, as long as they have plenty of money? I know a lot of, rich people don't really care if they have it in the bank and the wife is spending it, as long as it's the wife spending it, not someone else. Well, or their kid. As long as they're not like bleeding them dry, they don't care, and they don't care to ask what they're spending it on either, because they're like, oh, it must be for whatever. You know what I mean? Like they must know what they're spending it on. Must be for a reason. They just assume. I'm not sure whether she was paid in cash or not. That's a good question. Does anybody know? I thought she did have custody of her kids. As far as I understood, she did have custody of her kids. That's a very real possibility, that he chose to just probably act like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't even want to know what's going on. You know, it's almost like, you know, we've seen those serial killers that have families that don't know, right? They have a whole family at home, and these families had no idea they were serial killers. But after the fact, they're like, well, there was kind of some red flags, but I explained them away in regular, you know, basic reasoning, right? I feel like that could account for some of that, where you just don't want to know, so you, in your mind, sort of explain it away of something simple and silly, you know? Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought Wendy had custody, as far as I understood. I know that his family, last I heard, they were fighting to have the kids or see the kids or whatever, but that she had custody of them. StreamYard get their shit together today with the buffering, right? Well, that's the thing, right? All that money. Yeah, as far as I knew, Wendy had the kids. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but listen, there's plenty of reasons why, even if you paid her with business checks, why he might not have questioned it. You know, like, hey, maybe she did something that helped the business, so technically they paid it through the, you know what I mean? He might not have questioned it just simply because his wife wrote the check, right? But then again, maybe he knew. I don't know. That's just pure speculation at this point, you know? Yeah, his old car. Well, that's the thing. I don't think they were necessarily involved in the planning, right? Florida, right? I thought, didn't she live in Florida? Grandparents' rights, even in my state, are only once a month in the state of Massachusetts. So they're only entitled to one time a month, and it doesn't even have to be non-supervised. It could be supervised in like a supervision center, depending on what the judge orders. I don't think there's great options for grandparents in many states, that's for sure. But as far as I know, she's in Florida, right? Not Georgia, unless she moved. But as far as I understand, she has the kids. Maybe she did move out of state, I don't know. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So this whole thing, right? So it says, let's read part of this article here. So it says, I'm going to go up a little. So Harvey and Wendy have never been charged with any crime in a plot entangling a desperate cast of characters, including a hitman with Miami gang ties. The sensational case has riveted a state capital that still has small town sensibilities and been poured over by newspapers, podcasters, and true crime shows for nearly a decade. But for all the court hearings and attention, it still seems almost incomprehensible why a mother and son from such a respectable, successful family would launch what prosecutors have described as a cold-blooded but sloppily planned killing to win a child custody fight. And that's where it just gets it for me. That's all. You guys had money, right? Call in some favors. Why go as far as murder? You know? I mean, again, I've seen cases over way less, over ridiculousness, over $50. But I mean, it just, the risks that people are willing to take for such small things, it just doesn't make sense to me. So again, it says the risks were immense for Donna. She could end up in prison for the rest of her life and destroy the family she so treasured. But I mean, if you listen, the vibes that Donna Adelson gives off are very entitled and thinks that she could pretty much get away with anything. And I think that's part of the reason why she went for this, is she really thought that she could just, buy her way out. She's used to being able to buy her way out of things just like other people. And so she figured she'd just buy her way out of this whole thing if anything happened, Good to know, murder. So Meister said the legislation expanding grandparent visitation rights in Florida is actually named the Markle Act, probably after Dan, obviously. So it's the question few who knew the family have been willing to address. Former neighbors won't talk, which is weird. That's so weird. Former neighbors won't talk. Donna's friends seem to have disappeared. Their former rabbi, who was contacted by the Herald, also declined to speak about a family that was part of their temple for years. The Herald was unsuccessful in reaching her defense attorney. Graber, who served as state lawmaker, Broward commissioner, and mayor in a long career, seems the only person who has gone public with support for the Adelsons as the charges and convictions mounted. He doesn't buy the plot line that police and prosecutors have laid out. I've been watching this from afar and waiting for someone to speak up. Finally, I felt I had to say something. Said Graber, this is just impossible. They would never have done this. Smart, successful suburban family. Graber said he first met the couple when he moved to quiet Coral Springs in the 1970s and opened his gynecology practice. We're among a lot of young families from the Northeast who found Coral Springs a city in the country with a lot of promise, he said. We'd open our practices and our wives would run the front office. It was not unusual back then for a professional to have a wife in the front office assisting. Well, it's not unusual now either. So I don't know. He's acting like it's. Yeah, I agree, Maestro. Donna and Harvey both grew up in New York. Donna went to Queens College and became an elementary school teacher, and Harvey graduated from the University of Buffalo before earning his Doctor of Medicine in Dentistry at Temple University. They married in 1971. In South Florida, Donna left teaching to help him and to spend much of her time at home with the kids. 3 kids, Robert, Charles, and Wendy. So there's the 3 kids, and there's Donna, husband, Harvey. Let's see. So that's tall one here is. So it goes left, Robert, Charles, Harvey, Wendy, Donna. So it's going this way. Left, right, but up and down. Obviously, that's Wendy. All right, so family was Donna's focus. 1986, she was a contestant on the game show Wheel of Fortune. They had a dog, Sam. Harvey's career flourished by the late 1980s. He was running big ads in local newspapers for his new cosmetic and restorative dentistry practice, which touted free smile evaluations and new technology as seen on ABC's Extreme Makeover. He changed the name of his practice to the Adelson Institute for Aesthetics and Implant Dentistry, and he made a name for himself. They bought a 5-bedroom home on a cul-de-sac in Coral Springs. When their son Robert wanted to do tennis, Harvey installed the tennis court in the backyard. So that tells you, like, they didn't care about money. They just spent it. Kids wanted it. They got it. A whole tennis court. Newspaper photos caught the couple dancing at charity balls and fundraisers. Harvey acted as treasurer for one of Graber's election campaigns and also involved in supporting a new school of dentistry in Nova Southeastern University. They had a lot of friends and a lot of parties. Well, that's good. The kids all had manners, were courteous and polite. Nobody got in trouble. Okay, so here's the thing. When you give as much entitlement to your children as this, right, that's what they grow up like. And when you spoil your children in a way that lets them know if they whine or stomp their feet and you give them what they want, including a tennis court or pretty much whatever else they wanted, why do you think that Charlie grew up the way he did, and why they were so entitled to have whatever they wanted and would take the steps to hire hitmen to get what they wanted? Because, well, they had money, right? They could do all that. Well, yeah, I mean, upper middle class folks definitely who definitely don't want to be exposed to any of this shit. Why would they? If they know anything, they're certainly not going to say anything, you know? I know, that I found really strange, Maestro. That was one of the things that made me stop and take a second look. Like, you know, Dan had just landed one of his biggest cases, like Maestro said, that involved rabbis with cattle prods extorting people. And the police department had to make sure it didn't have anything to do with that first, because that even made me take a look back real quick to be like, really? That's, you know, strange to me, you know, coincidence, but strange, you know? So
daughter Wendy was keenly aware growing up of how fortunate she was to be in a well-to-do family focused on success and education. At 16, while a top student at Travella High School, she won awards for creating a nonprofit that collected toys and educational materials for poor children. I was thinking about the advantages I had, Wendy said in an interview with the Miami Herald in 1995. All kids don't get the same start, and I wished everyone got the same educational opportunities as I had. Well, we don't all get that, Wendy. And, you know, it's about who you know, not what you know. You could be the most intelligent person on planet Earth, but if you don't know the right people to get you in the right spot, you will struggle for the rest of your life. Now, if you happen to know a CEO that will give you a job as a treasurer or a CFO or their secretary to work your way up, well, guess what? You have a better chance in life now, don't you? Because in my opinion, it's not about what you know. Again, it's about who you know. There are some very intelligent people that I know that could run businesses, that could run companies, that never went to college because they didn't have the money, but are smarter than some of the people that I know that went to college. If they knew the right people, they could help that company flourish. But because they don't know the right people, it doesn't matter what they know. It's about who they know, you know? Yeah, he did like implants and stuff, you know, aesthetics. So it says that basically Donna took control of all aspects of the kids' futures, pushing them to become successful, overseeing their school, organizing their play dates, sending them to summer camp, shuttling them to and from extracurriculars. Robert, in a podcast about the case, said that Donna and sometimes Harvey even signed off on who they dated. That is friggin' weird. Because I'm betting they were those kind of parents which are like, you can't date, we'll just call him James if it was Wendy, right? You can't date James because James is not upper middle class. His father is not a lawyer or a doctor, and his family is not on the same level as our family, so you cannot date beneath you. I feel like that's the kind of family I would assume it would be, right? Where if you're trying to sign off on your children's dates, that's weird shit. That's like way overstepping the boundaries, you know? And listen, yeah, like veneers. I've dated rich men, I've dated poor men, I've dated middle class. Okay, I've done the whole thing, all right? And more money means a little less stress when it comes to paying your bills, and you're more able to do things just on the fly, like go on short trips or buy things you really want. But it gets old after a while, because if it's all about the money and it's not really about the relationship itself, so yeah, you can spend all this money with each other, but if the person that you're spending all the money with, who has all the money, isn't your like forever person, you don't passionately love them, then you take the money and go share it, like to bring your friends on a trip instead of your husband. You're looking for that love still. All the money in the world can't buy you that. And I would rather be poor like I am, deeply in love with my husband as I still am 11 years later, than be rich. It's really that simple. If we had all the money in the world, yes, it would be great. We could travel like we always dreamed and, you know, do things that we've never gotten to do. But I've been with somebody who had money, and a lot of it that we just spent crazily, but I didn't love that person in that way. There's a different kind of connection, and all the money in the world couldn't buy me what I really, really wanted, right? That connection. It just can't. And so if you can't find it with that person, you're looking to share it with friends or family members and spend it on them. And you're still looking for that little piece of you that feels like it's missing until you find your person. And I believe everybody has a person, right? I found my person. I have my person. I mean, it seems like they were very wealthy, not just comfortable, but wealthy. Looking at what they, like their money, it doesn't seem like they were just comfortable. It seems like because he did, at least because the husband did cosmetic dentistry, they had quite a bit of money, quite a bit, you know? I mean, that's just crazy to me. Like to go that, oof, ouch, that's gotta hurt. To be burnt out of politics like that. I mean, again, these are places though that will, I mean, do you know how much veneers cost? Listen, I need like my whole top row replaced, okay? I have some chipped and broken ones on the sides here from my abuser way back. One on the bottom here, one on the bottom here. And I need like a whole rack, okay? Just one veneer, one.
one singular tooth, one, is upwards of $10 to $25,000 to $35,000 for one damn tooth. Never mind each. But depending on how many, one can be anywhere between 10 to 35 grand. One singular post, metal post they put in and screw that veneer in. Just one, all right? Now, obviously, they do a better package deal for all of them if you do them all, but it is extremely expensive and almost no insurance covers that. So that's all out-of-pocket costs. Just saying, okay? Just saying. It's just weird, like that the parents would step into their sort of dating realm. It's strange, you know? I mean, I don't know about atypical demon parents, but I mean, all that for custody. I mean, did you snap that like that? I mean, I feel like in order to snap like that, maybe you snap on your own spouse, but this was a plan to kill your daughter's ex-husband over custody. You know, I don't know. Charlie says it's a scam. Wendy calls it a Ponzi scheme. Oh, I'm sure the 90s were very cutthroat. You know, right? I mean, that's what they were doing, is getting a divorce. But it's like, because Donna so badly wanted those kids to stay with her and Wendy, she went above and beyond. And because the brother didn't really like Dan, like that was a, you know, sort of tap into that hate, you know? I don't know. I mean, out of love, you commit murder or plan murder out of love. The guy wasn't some domestic abuser that was beating his children. I mean, that's one thing, right? I could totally see where somebody's like, all right, this guy's got to go. The cops aren't doing anything. He's hurting my babies, my grandchildren, my children. Like, maybe I could understand something like that, but we're not talking about that kind of person, right? We're talking about, hey, let's just off this guy because, hey, you know, we want custody and we don't want him to have a chance to win said custody of the kids. Like, he's their dad, so he has in some capacity a right to see them no matter what, whether he won full custody or not. He was still going to have visitation. So realistically, what did they think was going to happen? I swear to God, you might be right onto something, Julie. You might be onto something there. I mean, we're losing it over here, right? We're losing it. It's crazy. Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. And don't make any mistake. When you make that kind of money, you don't just make that kind of money, right? Like, no, he wasn't abusing kids. That's my point. So I could understand if it was something like that and you saying like, oh, they did it out of love, you know, to get this monster away. But that's not the case. That wasn't the case when it came to Dan. So what could be the reason that you would plan to murder someone just specifically so they don't get custody? He's going to get visitation even if he doesn't get custody. He's the dad, and there's no reason to keep him from his kids, you know? It's just weird to me, right? But when you make that kind of money, you make good money, like the Adelsons did, you don't just only make the money. You take the money, you invest the money, and you make more money. So make no mistake, they took some of that money and they put it in stocks, and they got inside information, and you know what I mean? They made more money off of their money. Like, that, you know? I'm not saying she didn't stir the pot, but we're not talking about someone who was, you know, locking kids in cages and the cops were called a million times and there was a restraining order. And like, listen, I have literally had to call. Okay, the last time I ever called the police on my abuser, he busted a window of my car. Okay, and I kid you not, I had an older car. This was a long time ago, early 2000s. And so after already catching a beating, I was like, I got to get the laundry out of the car. And I'll never forget this because I did have a laundry basket in my car, but I figured I could use that as an excuse to just get in my car and go get help, right? So I get in the car, and I kid you not, it's like a movie. My hands are shaking. And so
I then realized the doors are unlocked, and I didn't have power locks in that car or power windows. So 2 windows were on. So I'm rolling the windows up. Now I'm moving around trying to shut all of the locks down. And so I get all the locks down and the windows rolled up. And here he comes, and I'm trying to get the keys in the ignition to start the car. And by the time my hands were shaking so bad I could not get the key in the ignition. This is broad daylight in a neighborhood. Punches out the window of the passenger window, right? Shatters it, glasses everywhere, takes me by the hood of my sweatshirt, drags me from the driver's side through the passenger window that is now shattered, okay? Throws me by the shirt, like holding onto it like this, and by my head into the house. And I stumble into the house, and his Nextel is sitting on, because my table was right inside the front door. His Nextel is sitting on that table. And I took the Nextel, I opened it, I dialed 911, and I friggin' hummed it across the room, and it ended up going under my bed, because as soon as you came in the door, my bedroom was right here. And if you just turned just a tiny bit, the table and the kitchen were here. So I was thrown here, and I just hummed it right into my room, and it went under the bed, and you didn't see it. And so they heard the 911 call. You can hear everything that's happening in my house. By the time the cops come to knock on the door, he immediately gets off of me and bolts, right? So I answer the door, there's blood everywhere. I'm disheveled. And the cops are like, where is he? And I'm like, I don't know. They take me outside. I'm, panicked. Take me outside. I thought he had bolted out the back door. I'm like, I don't know. He might have left out the back door. He did not leave it. He was hiding in one of the closets. So they found him in one of the closets in the other spare bedroom in my house. And had I not called the cops, I might not be alive today. Okay. When I tell you that's the kind of scenario that I can understand a family, get a restraining order, and he keeps coming back and coming back and coming. I already had a restraining order at that point. Okay. That piece of paper did not stop him. I could understand something along those lines. That is not the scenario here. That was not the scenario here. Not by a long shot. Okay. So I get it when it comes to her sort of saying, like, he's abusive or whatever her claims were, but there's just no evidence of that, right? Like, there's just no evidence of that at all, Right. Then you hire a good attorney and you do it the right way. I'm not going to say that the court system works in a way that it always should. There are a lot of, especially family court, I will throw a lot of shade on the family court system, because I have seen far too many times where an abuser ends up with the children, where there's documented cases of serious abuse. And it's unfortunate, but it happens. And so there isn't, much we can do about it, but the system itself isn't always a help when it comes to that kind of stuff. But there is no documented anything about that. So it's kind of hard to sort of justify, they just did this for their daughter, when there's no instances really of that kind of abuse happening. And then you went out of your way to like hire a hitman. That's like a whole nother level of insanity. Like, hire a good attorney and hope for the best, right? And if it doesn't, you just keep fighting and you keep fighting and you keep fighting. There isn't a ton that you can do, right? You got to keep fighting as long as there's breath in your body. Okay. Oh yeah, I don't doubt it at all. So much cash that was just exchanging, and God knows what else they were doing with it. There's a lot of stuff in the police that have nothing to do with like the case in itself. They're not just gonna give us, I hope after all the cases are over, I can do a big FOIA on it and get some of the stuff that we, didn't find out about throughout some of the trials. But cash always means that you don't have to, do taxes. And so if they're making a lot of, cash, and they didn't want to claim all that on taxes, is a good way to hide it, I guess, Oh yeah, and that happens too. A lot of the times an abuser will lie, get you. It's a whole thing. They'll do whatever they can to cover their own abuse. I know, who the hell does that? Like, who the hell does washing? Like, who you're washing cash in a damn washing machine, lady? Like, that's not gonna actually make it clean money. Just saying. Just saying. It is awful. I cannot disagree with you. I 100% agree with you. I think just her being the only daughter definitely made it, you know, a little more, you know, for the family to be like, okay, our poor baby. But at the same time, there are plenty of families that have an only daughter that don't resort to hiring hitmen to kill the ex, you know? Wet cash from a wash. That's hilarious. Like, here you go. Here's your washing machine cash. Hey, above ground. It's just so fun. Like, here's your 20,000 in cash from the washing machine. We washed it up for you. It's not dirty money anymore. I get that. But that's what they, you know, that's the legal system. You just got to keep fighting. I mean, killing somebody isn't gonna. I mean, what's that going to do besides end you up in jail for life and whoever helped you? That's, I mean, is that the result that they wanted? I don't think so. You know, I'm not saying that their motivation couldn't have been, of course, Wendy, you know, saying whatever she said about Dan. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter what Wendy said. You don't hire hitmen to kill someone. That's a no-go. You know what I'm saying? That's hilarious. Yeah, let's just wash this money. It's not dirty money anymore, guys. Just wash it with the washing machine. I don't know, but whoever washed it, that's hilarious. Here, it's not dirty anymore. We actually washed it in a washing machine. Apparently she doesn't realize what washing money means, or what they don't realize what washing money means. It doesn't mean bring it to a washing machine. It means like bring it to a strip club and change it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, there are other things to do besides try to kill an ex. And I think, well, I mean, he's in jail now, so it doesn't have to be estranged. He's in jail. You know, here's the thing. The whole thing, like, at least a lot of the family involved in this, tells you a lot. It tells you a lot. It honestly tells you that they thought that, so it says Robert met and fell in love with a woman who was Indian American and practiced Hinduism. His parents refused to accept him marrying her. So that's the older brother, I believe, Wendy's older brother, Robert. In an interview for the Over My Dead Body podcast, Robert Adelson said that for years his parents had threatened to disown him if he married his girlfriend, who was also a doctor. In 2003, he finally broke it off and married a nice Jewish girl from Dallas. He said in the podcast, available on Wondery.com, the engagement was proudly announced by his parents in the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Now, that's just weird shit. But it didn't last. The couple divorced and Robert reunited with his former girlfriend. And to his surprise, the parents attended their traditional Hindu wedding. So they did all sorts of crazy shit like this. You know, like, hey, let's butt into our children's love lives. And I'm not saying they're the only parents, whether rich or poor, that do that. Okay, there are parents that do this no matter what kind of money they make. Let's make that clear. And they really need to learn their boundaries. And it just seems like the Adelsons didn't have a lot of boundaries. At least Donna didn't have a lot of boundaries. And I'm going to bet she wore a lot of the pants in that relationship she had with Harvey. You know, I agree that a lot of it was toxic, but I feel like it was toxic all around. You know, not just Wendy, but if Wendy spews toxicity to Donna, it's Donna's and Charlie, it's Donna and Charlie's choice to then engage in that toxicity and take it a step further. So I feel like the whole thing is sort of surrounded in this elitist entitlement sort of behavior that they could just do whatever they want and get away with it. And I really think that's part of what they thought was going to happen here. And it always amazes me how hilarious, especially people with more money, think that they're actually going to get away with murder by like calling in favors. Like, I can just call the judge, he'll just drop this. And we know a lot of politicians and people owe us some favors, so we'll just buy our way out of it. It's very rare that somebody buys their way out of murder. Have I seen it happen? Yep. Have cover-ups happened to help people with money? Sure have. Yep, they have. But it's not something that happens all the time. And this Delulu level cray-cray. Like that, I mean, I think Donna had a very toxic personality, and I honestly think the kids sort of learned that toxic behavior from Donna herself. You know, and I think Charlie had some serious issues. And, you you wouldn't wonder why. If you have parents that are meddling in your love life, and I mean, the kids are fucked up because the parents were fucked up, you know? And it seems more like, at least from all the documents, dumps, and all the people who have spoken out, it seems like Donna was the sort of toxic ringleader of that relationship with her husband. Is she sort of made the decisions and wore the pants and all that shit. And, you know, they grew up in that atmosphere of that. So when that's all you know, that's what you think is normal, right? So these kids thought that sort of entitled attitude as adults, now they're adults, right, is normal, you know? Yeah, I know. They offered Dan money. I remember that, $1 million to let Wendy move with the kids. And he said, no, they're his kids. I wouldn't have either. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have. You can't offer me any money in the world to let somebody move my kids away from me. That's insane. Absolutely not. I mean, and again, Dan wasn't a poor guy. I don't think he was excessively rich, but he wasn't a poor guy. So, you know, $1 million, he could make $1 million, but $1 million is not worth you trying to bribe me for somebody to take my kids away from me. You can keep your $1 million, you know? Love you too, Jess. Oh, I do. It exudes from Donna, in my opinion. It just exudes from her in a very serious way. Especially this sort of entitlement attitude that just seeds off of her. I see it from all of them, not just her, but Donna, it's very apparent to me. And again, there's no lack of life experience for me. I have, you know, made a lot of money back in the day, and you know, not so much anymore, obviously, but I've lived the high life, I've lived the low life, and I've lived the in-between. And I would take being poor every day, any day, over the loneliness that some people have that have money, because money can buy you a lot, and it might buy some happiness for a short period of time, but over a very long period of time, all the stuff in the world can't fix that hole that they're trying to fill inside. All the stuff in the world. It just cannot, you know? It won't. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And being cultured is fine. I'm not saying that they're not cultured or educated, but having that entitlement attitude, you can be intelligent and, you know, cultured and still have that entitlement attitude, you know? $1 million. She got prison time for it. They say it's not linked. Yeah, I mean, it's not linked. They say it's not linked, but I agree with you. I don't think it's not linked. I'd have to agree with you where I'm probably never going to think that it's not linked in some way. Maybe not linked to like the murder plot, but like right to the murder plot, but linked in a way, some way. I'm just not going to buy that it was not linked in some way to them. Maybe not directly through like, oh, here's money to hire a hitman, but I do think it was linked in some way to that family and something shady. I just do. There's no way anybody's ever going to convince me that some of it wasn't, you know? So this Charlie, he was convicted in plotting the hit, and he was having different issues. It says Charlie's a risk taker. I've known him since he was 4. He's a playboy, a middle child. He has delusions of grandeur. So again, that sort of delusions of grandeur goes with that entitlement sort of attitude. He wants to be James Bond, but he's a periodontist, right? Public records show Charles was sanctioned twice by the state of Florida in 2015 and in 2023 for improper implant placement that led to nerve damage. According to state records, he had to pay $187,000 for malpractice and later $7,000 to the Florida Board of Dentistry in fines and investigation costs. He also received a reprimand on his license in 2019. So that is Wendy and Dan right here in this picture. Poor guy. Wendy, meanwhile, was making a name for herself in the legal profession, but had not yet checked the marriage box. Donna, according to numerous media reports, would help pick her husband. Cool. Markle, though, through a Jewish dating site, to everyone they seemed to be the perfect, accomplished power couple. Dan, a native or Toronto, was a Harvard-educated lawyer who specialized in criminal law and wrote extensively about crime, punishment, and family. Wendy focused on immigration, child advocacy, and disability rights. But their lavish February 2006 wedding in Boca Raton, announced in the New York Times, was attended by over 200 people. Within a few short years, it was clear they would not live happily ever after. The family matriarch's hope for Jewish grandchildren seemed to reset with Wendy, who had moved with her husband to Tallahassee, where both taught at Florida State University. They had 2 boys and had settled in with new friends in a nice upscale neighborhood. But still, Wendy soon became disenchanted as Markle's career took off, while her career took a backseat to raising kids. In a foreshadowing, Wendy published a fictional book in 2011 in which the female protagonist lawyer leaves her condescending husband. What happened next has been documented in numerous court hearings. Shortly thereafter, Wendy left Dan, taking the kids and half of the furniture in the house while he was on a business trip in New York. When he came back home, he had been served the divorce papers. So that's Donna's mugshot. Though the divorce was finalized in 2013, the litigation over custody of the kids became brutal. Court records show that a Leon County judge denied Wendy's motion to relocate her kids to South Florida. Emails between Donna and her daughter, shown at Charlie's trial, revealed steel beneath the Donna Reed image. It eats me out of my own thing. It's really obnoxious. Hold on a second. It does read like a literal Lifetime movie. You are right about that, Scorpio. It does. It reads like a freaking Lifetime movie. So basically, after that doesn't work, after you can't, you can't bribe him, right? You can't bribe him with the $1 million. He says no. So then they say, basically threaten him. He makes the motion that Donna's not allowed to be around the kids because she's disparaging him in front of the kids. That was still pending when he was murdered. Okay. So after his death, Donna and Harvey, they relocated to Miami Beach with Wendy and the kids. And then Wendy changed the boys' last names from Markle to Adelson, which I think is just, come on, their father was murdered. Come on, man. So for years, the police and prosecutors pointed to Charlie as a suspect in arranging the murder. He was shot in his Tallahassee driveway. In a 2019 trial of one of the hitmen, he was labeled an unindicted co-conspirator. An attorney for Charles and Donna at the time denied any family role in his death, obviously. And then before Charlie was charged and finally tried in November, 3 others had previously been convicted and sentenced in the murder. Sigfredo Garcia, Luis Rivera, the 2 hitmen, and Catherine Magbanua, Charlie's former girlfriend, and the go-between in between them. They received life sentences. And Rivera, a former gang leader of the Latin Kings in North Miami, he cooperated and he's serving 19 years. Charlie testified in his own defense, claiming that he and his family were victims of an elaborate extortion plot orchestrated Me and StreamYard are going to have a little talk because I keep getting yeeted off of my own damn stream. And it's really, for something that I pay for, and it's not cheap monthly, I'm really kind of getting sick and tired of being yeeted off of my own StreamYard. Y'all need to do better because it's not my internet. It's not my computers. It is literal stream. I kid you not. I think I'm going to switch. I may switch to a different streaming thing, even after it takes a long time to learn a new one. But it's getting aggravating. That's for sure. Basically what happens in the end is Donna is about to go to trial. Okay. That's what we know. She's about to go to her own trial. She wanted the grandchildren taken care of. She was talking about leaving to a non-extraditable, country, which is when she was caught. And then she had some sort of like even backup plan for like suicide. And that's when they caught her, when she was trying to go one way to Vietnam. I think spent it all on a spiritual. I don't know if they hid money. I mean, I feel like she probably hid money places for sure. I don't know. I mean, it seems like that's what Donna wanted, was to live in South Florida without any interruption. Yeah, see, we can agree to disagree on certain things when it comes to cases. People don't have to, hate each other. I mean, the FKR thing is just like so crazy to me. Like, you can agree to disagree on certain things. It's different perceptions, without being jerks. It's like a whole thing, Yeah, I mean, cold calculated for sure, I mean, it's bad. I do. StreamYard is being so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I mean, she's definitely guilty. There's no doubt in my mind that, Donna Adelson is guilty of trying to bring in these hitmen they did kill Dan Markle. I think it's unfortunate because in my eyes, there's no real motive other than you want to raise these kids the way you want to raise them. And in my eyes, Donna Adelson wanted to raise them under her roof with Wendy the way she wanted. Not what was best for her daughter and for her daughter to raise those kids on her own, but under her roof where her thumb could be. And that's the way she raised her own kids, right? Under her roof where her thumb could be. It just seems very controlling, if you ask me. Coercive control, if you will. That's part of abuse, coercive control. It's unfortunate. It's the way it works. So that is the fast story on the Adelsons. And so we're coming up on her case starting, on the 19th. And that's going to be shortly. So I wanted to give everybody a sort of quick, at least, background of this case. It really, it reminds me a lot of the Murdoch stuff because of like the whole family aspect of it and having like legal people and money involved. Like, it just gives me a lot of Murdoch vibes, yeah, well, that's it, right? He wasn't what they wanted or what the family, he's a thorn in the side of them because he could keep fighting for those kids until the end of time. And they wanted that to stop. It's unfortunate because killing someone is not the right way to go. You know what I'm saying? You can't make people go away and have children with another person. That's not the way it works. But I did want to give you guys just a quick sort of idea of what the case is about if you've never heard of it before, because it is one we will be covering. But I'm starving and I'm going to go eat something. So in the meantime, I love all your stinking faces. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to donate to the channel, there's a bunch of different ways of doing so, and we would appreciate it. We have Venmo, Cashapp, PayPal, Revolut. It's on the bottom of the screen. Everything is in the description of the video as well, along with the link that we have that you can use credit or debit. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. There's a lot of court stuff we have to cover next week, and I will see you guys in the morning. And I love your faces. Everybody have an amazing Sunday.